I was wondering what this story needed, and I thought long and hard to myself, and it's definitely a Jar Jar Binks character. I've never wanted to have sex with a pot pie, but, like, I'd have sex with that pot pie.
We're all weak to stepping on nails.
Let me preface this by saying I wrote a script.
Daytona Beach is like 2 mild inconveniences from being a post-apocalyptic wasteland anyway.
So many of my tabs say semen.
Are you guys ready for this weird, horny adventure that we're all about to go on?
You can't handcuff me for skanking.
This motherfucker gaslights you.
Diet Coke and Sorrow will be chapter 4.
And against all odds, Kyle, we became those swirly weirdos.
This whole podcast is a very negative mouthfeel.
Hello and welcome to Debate This, the show where no one is right, but someone is definitely wrong. In this show, we take time out of our busy adult lives to talk about comic books, video games, and how somehow me dragging Matt to a Coheed and Cambria concert 3 years ago here in Columbus is about to finally pay off.
Okay, I think that dragging really misrepresents the situation, because I was pretty stoked on that concert.
That's fair.
Matt's not a friend or a fan of music, so I understand that.
Especially rock music? No, of course not.
I feel like your vibe was like cautiously optimistic. You were like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
But,
well,
yeah,
you were
that's
like,
fair.
hey, do you want to go see Coheed and Cambria? I was like, I know exactly one Coheed and Cambria song from Guitar Hero, or from Rock Band.
everyone else.
Right. Well, let's get into this. So obviously today's topic is very exciting for me personally. I have been a huge Coheed and Cambria fan. I mean, like top 3 bands for years, pretty much since college, since their 3rd studio album came out all the way back in like late 2005. Now, listeners out there, and Matt, most likely, you most likely have heard the song "Welcome Home" or the song "A Favorite House Atlantic." Good eye, sniper. We're gonna do that a lot.
All right, we made it a minute into the recording before that happened.
Yep. Both of those songs were featured on Rock Band like way back in the day. So if you had the same origin story as everybody doing this show, then you've probably heard these songs. But if you only know the big singles, you might not know that every single one of Coheed and Cambria's studio albums, save for one, are actually concept albums. And not just like Tommy by The Who concept albums, but I mean, each of these concept albums are actually based on an ongoing science fiction graphic novel called Amory Wars that's written and published independently by the band's singer and frontman, Claudio Sanchez.
I did not know this.
I knew that they were like a concept band, a prog band, as it were. Mm-hmm. I did not know that the tie to a sci-fi graphic novel published by singer and frontman Claudio Sanchez.
So before we were recording, Todd said like, "Oh, is this like a thing where the band made a graphic novel based on the songs?" And my answer to that is no. They made songs based on a graphic novel.
They worked backwards from the punchline.
They did. And that's 100% fact and not an exaggeration. So, therefore, today we're going to break down the first major part of this massive science fiction epic that spanned almost 20 years. And to help me are my fellow resistance fighters, Todd, 10 speed of God's blood and burial Thomas, Matt, man your own jackhammers Cole, and Kyle, I need mayo Harper.
One of these things is not like the other.
But they are.
Oh, right.
They all are.
I mean, so they're all Coheed lyrics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I need mayo, huh?
I need mayo.
We're going to talk about all 3 of these. Well, we'll talk about, I'll quickly, 10 Speed of God's Blood and Burial, we're not going to get to, is off the 3rd album, and that's literally the title. That line is written by a character in the 3rd novel called The Writing Writer.
Oh.
Good.
Man Your Own Jackhammers is from the 2nd album, which we'll talk about, and I Need Mayo is from the 1st album and will become pretty clear pretty soon.
Excellent.
It's actually the protagonist's name is I Need
Antagonist.
Mayo. My mistake.
Get it right,
Can't tell
Todd.
if you're joking or not. Not really sure.
I'm not joking.
Great.
The next 2.5 hours are gonna be. I'm not going to tell a single joke, and you're gonna be laughing the whole time. Now, before we jump in, I need to shout out. So I found this podcast while I was doing research that was a huge help in filling in because, as you can imagine, a graphic novel that is arguably not very good, that has been out for 20 years based on a series of prog rock albums. Not a lot of scholars on the matter. So if you listening out there, and let me say, like, I thoroughly enjoyed. I bought literally came today. Here's the third book in the series. So like I very much I had a lot of fun reading this series, but this is objectively bad. Like I just want to say like
these are
like,
my favorite.
Yeah, like
texts.
as far as like graphic like comics go, this is not a good comic, but oh my god, is it fun? Oh my god, is it a good
but
time?
boy, is it a wild ride.
Boy, is it a wild ride. But yeah, I want to shout out this podcast. So if you're listening, you like Coheed and Cambria, you're interested in Amory Wars, or you want some more after we talk about this, definitely go check out this podcast called The Amory Score. It is a podcast by Abnormal Mapping, and they have a bunch of different shows like this. Each episode they have an entire like show dedicated to going song by song, album by album, and breaking down the entire Amory Wars saga. Which, like, yeah, so definitely, if you have any interest in this outside of today's episode, definitely go check them out.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how I feel at the end of this
Yes.
2.5 hours.
We always start these flavor texts, which we go around the horn and talk about our prior knowledge. Obviously, you've heard I have a lot. Let's go, the rest of you guys. What do you know of anything about Coheed and Cambria or the Amory Wars?
Can I establish the floor?
Yes.
It's the two songs that you named.
Yeah.
Similar to Todd, I'm very familiar with those two songs. I've tried getting into Coheed and Cambria in the past. It's not my bag, but I've listened to probably one of these albums, but that was a decade ago when I was really trying, and have lost any knowledge I would have gathered from it. So I'm going in almost as cold as Todd.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, as noted 7 minutes ago, 3 years ago, you dragged me to a Coheed and Cambria concert, and I learned all of the things from your opening paragraph. Yeah. And in the last 3 years, I've also listened to a couple of albums, and Coheed's very much in my wheelhouse of music, but a band that I kind of feel like I missed the train on, and so I'm excited to get the other stuff.
Yeah, I get that. I'll just say too, and so in addition, I mean, I've made it very clear that I've been a big fan for a long time. I've seen them live three times. Once at a music festival in Cincinnati when Claudio Sanchez got so pissed because they were actually they were going right before Post Malone, and all the people watching were there to see Post Malone and had no idea. So myself and 4 other 30-year-olds were screaming, "Man Your Own Jackhammers." And actually Claudio was so pissed that they left. So
Nice.
Oh, wow.
they just pieced out. This was the first time I saw them. So I made a special thing to see them in Columbus 2 weeks later. And I took my wife and it poured down rain the whole time. Oh man. But it was a good show. It was a really fun show.
I was there the third time.
You were there the third time. Yeah.
Yep.
We have just been floored by the support that we've been getting from people. And if you're listening out there and you already have, or you've got one in the works, thank you so much. We, honest to God, this was kind of a flex, did not expect people to actually take us up on this. And this whole flavor text commission thing has gotten so popular. We are, as of August 1st, we are booked out through next February, which is awesome.
Wild.
But also, also what that means is we're going to put this on hold for a few months just to allow us to catch up a little bit, because I would really hate for somebody to pay $50 now and get something a year from now. So if you are out there and you're interested in commissioning an episode, 1, thank you. 2, we will be opening that again, likely after our Halloween month, our Spooktacular Express. So keep an eye out. We'll obviously announce it on the show, but keep an eye out for, if you're on Patreon, we'll send out a message as well. Cool. Let's get into Coheed. So obviously we're going to talk about the Amory Wars, but first I like to do this, just do a little bit of a background of the band. I'm going to go through some of the albums and some of the major beats here. So Coheed and Cambria really gets its origins way back in the mid to late 90s. Following a string of these failed rock band groups, frontman Claudio Sanchez formed Shabooty, which was a punk rock band. Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure how that word was pronounced, and I'm glad that Shabooty was it.
Yeah, I definitely saw that coming. And what a 90s punk rock band name that is.
It super is. It's got an umlaut on the U, so you would think it's Shabooty, but it's not. It's Shabooty. So you've got frontman Claudio Sanchez on guitar and vocals, Travis Stever on lead guitar, Michael Todd on bass, and Josh Eppard on drums.
This is the lineup for Shabooty?
Shabooty.
Is this also the lineup for Coheed?
Most of them are still in the band today.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. It is cool. Shabooty released an EP called Delirium Trigger in 2000, which, going all the way back, was originally, so like the original idea for this band was we're going to base this on a comic. This is based on what ended up being the first 2 chapters of Second Stage Turbine Blade. At the time was called The Bag Online Adventures.
Wonderful.
Not good.
What a again, very 2000s name for a webcomic.
Yeah. It has big zine energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the band decided after that came out to rename themselves Coheed and Cambria after the comic's 2 main protagonists. And then, and then they just doubled down and they were all like, "Yep, this is our band. We're going to be a concept band," and that was it.
And then went on to be one of the most well-known prog rock bands in the world.
Yeah.
Question for you, Andrew, and you may not know the answer to this, but so this is all based on a thing that Claudio Sanchez wrote.
Yep.
So, is this Claudio Sanchez roping his friends along on his creative journey, or are all of these guys really into Claudio Sanchez's writing and are like, man, this is such prolific
we're
writing,
so
we
lucky
have to be a band.
Yeah, we're so lucky to be doing this with Claudio Sanchez.
Well, Kyle, I would say, like, Kyle's a musician. Matt, you've played music, but you've been a musician at one point in your life, right? Like, if someone gives you the opportunity to play in a band that could likely go pretty far, do you take the offer?
Even if they have some weird hang-ups that aren't deal breakers.
It's either that or work in an office.
I mean, it's a really good point. Yeah,
touche, sir.
Question answered.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my answer. So Coheed and Cambria released their first studio album in 2002 called The Second Stage Turbine Blade, which was much less progressive rock and more just like hardcore punk. This is what we're going to be talking about, this one and the next album. And that one, you can go listen to it on Spotify. It is very punk. It is arguably not progressive at all.
How much of Delirium Trigger is on Second Stage Turbine Blade?
All of it.
Got it.
Yeah, all of it.
Okay.
Some of it exists as B-side demos and EPs, like hidden track stuff, but it's all part of that.
And Turbine Blade is an LP, right?
Yes, correct.
Got
it's a full studio album. Yeah.
Cool.
So a year later, after Turbine Blade, the band released In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth: 3.
The first one.
Which featured 2 hit singles, Blood Red Summer, and of course, A Favor House Atlantic. So both of these songs actually would get fully directed music videos that, of course, had nothing to do with the source material.
No, of course not.
I was going to ask that, but that's great.
Favor House Atlantic is just like the video is just like them hitting on women. It's very 2003.
Yeah, I mean, you got to make it on MTV. Like, if your video is not on TRL, nobody's paying attention to it.
Yeah, that's very true.
And it did, and they did. So Favor House hit big. Coheed and Cambria were launched into mainstream. Now, again, they were not a progressive rock band at this point. They were still just like a punk band. So you would see them among the likes of the Warped Tour. They were touring with, a bunch of the punk bands at the time. I don't have the Wikipedia page pulled up, but basically, so In Keeping Secrets was, I would say, their first like big hit album that was certified gold by the RIAA, and they were kicking after that. I think Keeping Secrets of the Silent Earth is a very, very good album. It's still to this day probably one of my favorites.
I listened to that today. It's really good.
Nice.
I liked it.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. In 2005, they released their third, and then this was, I'd say, argue their probably most commercially successful album, which is, get ready for this title, Good Apollo, I'm burning star 4, comma, Good Apollo, I'm burning star 4, comma, volume 1, colon, from fear through the eyes of madness.
Now this, I have to believe, is where they shifted into prog rock.
Correct, Kyle.
That's a prog rock album if I ever heard one.
It sure is. So this featured the hit Welcome Home, which everybody has heard. I guarantee you have heard that one.
Which was on Rock Band first.
It
right?
was that one and Godspeed, 10 Speed of God's Blood and Burial were both on Rock Band back when Rock Band was still doing covers.
Yeah,
So
when
that-
it was
it
like
wasn't-
the house band.
Exactly. It wasn't licensed.
Interesting.
Favorite House Atlantic was added as DLC, but that was the first licensed one. So at this point, they stopped touring with punk rock bands and instead were pairing up with groups like Circa Survive, who Todd and I saw, if you remember that.
Yeah,
That was
good.
Anthony Green's band, yeah. So this was like that kind of like post-punk, mid-aughts progressive rock. 110% my shit.
I think this is the one I listened to because I chased down where
Okay.
Welcome Home came from when I tried to do the dive.
The album cover just has a big red IV, like Roman numeral 4.
Yep.
Yeah. This was when
this is the one that everyone knows.
all of the people that I were hanging out with when this album came out either went to prog rock or went to hardcore. And I
Yeah.
went the hardcore direction, which
The-
I think is why I missed Coheed.
The freshman dorm, this is for nobody but the people on this podcast. The freshman dorm that I, Todd, and Kyle all lived at our freshman year.
Had this
was
on constant rotation.
This album was the like official theme song or the official theme of Dunlap King in 2006.
We all, for listeners at home, we all at different times lived in the arts dorm, and
Yeah, it was-
that all
yeah.
very tracks.
Yeah, we smoked clove cigarettes and listened to this album. 2 years later, Coheed and Cambria released the follow-up to that album called Good Apollo, I'm Burning Star 4, Volume 2, colon, No World for Tomorrow. Now, this was the end of the main Amory Wars storyline. So these first 4 albums, this is your Star Wars New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. So Good Apollo, I'm Burning Star 4 is Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Cool.
Also, this is fucking edgy Star Wars. This is just edgy Star Wars. It's just fucking Star Wars.
It's Star Wars with an R rating.
Yeah, I wrote in my notes here. This was what I had on loop at our college student radio station for an entire year.
What he actually has is, because he buries the lead in the notes, is if you happen to be listening to our college radio station, you would have heard this a lot, which
Yeah.
you then answered my
accurate.
question. My follow-up question was that because you were the one playing it all the time?
That's correct. So 2009's the next album, 2009, Year of the Black Rainbow, was a prequel set in the years before the events of Second Stage Turbine Blade. So there was some singles like Here We Are Juggernaut. Unfortunately, after this album, the band hit a setback when the bassist Mike Todd was arrested for armed robbery of a Walgreens,
Classic.
which is very not prog rock.
I mean, who amongst us?
Right? Mike Todd was later replaced with their current bassist, Zach Cooper. But again, like we noted earlier in the episode, almost all of them still with the band to this day, which is pretty cool.
So they let Todd back in. They let Mike back in after he got out of jail.
They did not.
Oh, okay.
Zach Cooper is still their current bassist.
Gotcha. One more question on this topic. What did Mike Todd steal or try to steal?
I don't know. It just said
probably-
armed robbery of a Walgreens.
Okay.
It's probably those nice shaving razors that they
Dude,
keep
I was
in
just going to
plastic.
say.
It's the only thing that is actually
that they
like tagged at a Walgreens. Having worked at a pharmacy like that, it's
Yeah.
the only thing that's microchipped.
It's that and the condoms you have to get a key,
Yeah.
the key for.
An adult has to look you in the eye and unlock them.
So in 2012 and then in 2013, respectively, there is a 2-part album called The Afterman: Ascension and The Afterman: Descension.
Gotta go up, gotta come down.
How-
This was your Rogue One. This was kind of an in-canon side story
Okay.
about setting up the extended universe of Amory Wars, featuring a character named, get ready for it, Sirius Amory.
So is there not a character named Amory in the Amory Wars story until
Nope.
a decade later?
Yep.
Good.
That
The
sucked.
I don't want to get into it too much, but the Amory Wars is named after this character because Sirius Amory coined the key work, which is like the main energy source. It's the fucking life stream from Final Fantasy VII. Claudio Sanchez invented the fucking life stream 15 years later.
How Kingdom Hearts is this gonna get, Andrew?
I told you it's edgy Star Wars. Like
Okay.
that is 100%. It's edgy Star Wars. Yeah, it's Star Wars with kid murder and child murder. So get ready.
I mean,
There's
Star Wars
child
also
murder
had child murder.
Yeah, there's child
Yeah.
murder in actual Star Wars.
Not until the prequels, though.
It's different. A few years later, we saw the release of The Color Before the Sun, which this was still to this day the only album that is not connected to Amory Wars.
Until
Seems
3
lazy.
albums from now, where they reveal it was connected and it all loops back in.
Yeah, it's a bad batch situation.
Okay, wait. So is The Color Before the Sun more or less progressive than all of the other albums?
It's pretty much similar in tone. It's just unconnected to the storyline. Yeah. So and then the most recent, as of this recording, the most recent studio album came from 2018, which was called Vaxis Act 1: The Unheavenly Creatures, which is the beginning of the next saga. So this is our Force Awakens.
Okay.
All of these
so
are Kingdom
sequel
Hearts
movies.
subtitles.
Yeah, they sure are.
There's some Square Enix ass subtitles, yes. Also, I want to note Jesse's Girl 2, for some reason, came out last year. That song rips.
They wrote.
It
Wait,
was
is
real
that
good.
they wrote a sequel to Jesse's Girl?
Uh-huh. They
Did anyone
super
ask them to do that?
They did it.
No, but Rick Springfield's in the video.
Okay, that was my follow up. Is Rick Springfield involved in any way? And
Yep.
is the hook as good as the hook in the original?
It's really good. I love that song, and the video
Yeah.
is really fun because it's got a Rick Springfield just as like a sad bartender. And then he does like a verse in the bridge. He's like, he's like so sad. I love it. It's fucking bonkers. So and I should note too, at the time of this recording, this is like I said, August 1st. They just came out with a new single like a week ago called Shoulders, which is unnamed yet, but it's supposed to be for their next studio album. So I would assume it's going to be part of Act 2 of Vaxis.
I do not care. I
You will
appreciate you
after
telling
this, Todd.
telling me chronologically where it falls in the lore, but yikes.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah,
Ready to get
man.
into this? All right, let's get some child murder. So, second stage Turbine Blade. We're going to start with a fucking bang. So, as we do with all of these flavor texts, there is an Imager library. I will call out, if you've not looked at our Imager libraries before, definitely check it out. There will be a link in the show notes. I was able to pull a lot of panels from the actual comic. Again, thanks to the Amory Score, a podcast by Abnormal Mapping, because their website actually has a lot of the like high res scans of the panels from this comic. Otherwise, like the wiki is not finalized. Like there's no other images that exist for this particular medium. So you'll get a really good sense of what the comic looks like, and the art is chef's kiss. The art is really pulls it all together.
If you're listening to this while
driving.
driving, make it work. Sorry.
Make it work. This is important. You can pull over. So, starting with image 1. This is kind of setting up the narrative framing. So we talked about this with the Witcher books. The Witcher does this a lot. Every volume, at least every volume that I've read so far of Amory Wars, is told in some sort of flashback, dual flashback narrative, if you will. So you start in like, it's been 7 years since blah, 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 right? So it's somebody telling you the story, a character telling you a story of something that's already happened.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Yeah, it's Star Wars.
Oh, Kyle, we're gonna get there. Don't bury my lead. So the entirety of this story, Second Stage Turbine Blade, is being recounted by a man named Inferno. That takes place 6 years. He is 6 years following the events of this story, and he is shown in image 1. And yes, he does look like Machete.
He does. He looks so much like Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo, yeah.
Is here.
Yeah. The story begins with the introduction, setting up the world. What you need to know is the idea of this basically space colony called Heaven's Fence. This is a network of 78 planets linked together and aligned literally in the shape of a triangle by some like magic space destiny space energy called the keywork. Okay. Image 2 shows the panel that kind of sets that up. That's where our boy Sirius Amory comes into play. You'll never hear about him again. But he's in one panel, and he's the one that discovered the keywork or whatever. So that's why it's called Amory Wars. The keywork is all of the MacGuffin. It's the force. It's it's the energy. It's the life force, whatever.
For some reason, I expected the triangle to be hollow in the middle and not filled like one of the Cracker Barrel pegboard games.
Image 3 is the symbol of the fence or the logo of the fence.
That's what that shit is.
That is also the Coheed and Cambria band. Coheed and Cambria uses that as their band's logo.
Oh, of course they do.
Which do you think came first?
The comic came first. I'm telling you, the comic came first.
So, but I mean, even like the symbol, they put it in the comic, and then they're like, "That's our band symbol." It wasn't they had a rap band symbol, and they're like, "How do we tie?" Okay,
confirmed. Yeah, that's I mean, that's the thing.
Gross.
Like, I always knew that this comic existed, but I did not realize that it is like
required reading.
It's required reading. Yeah, it's wild. Okay, so fast forward to present day. We get our main bad guy, the Supreme Tri-Mage Wilhelm Ryan.
Wow.
He is Image 4. He's big and blue and looks like Doctor Doom.
He looks he looks like Kang.
Or Kang.
More specifically, yeah.
The name Wilhelm Ryan is the kind of NPC unit name you get if like two friends at the count of 3 both say a name, and like one of them's like, "Oh, like the Wilhelm scream, that's fun." And the other person's like, "I like the name Ryan," and like that's what you get. You get this.
You wanna break down Tri-Mage for us?
We will.
Okay.
It's better than a bi-mage or an unimage.
Unimage.
A unimage is what I meant to say.
Wilhelm Ryan rules over Heaven's Fence with his Imperial Guard, the Red Army. He does imperial things.
They put Imperial in front of it, so you know it's bad.
Yep. We are then introduced to the main character of Second Stage Turbine Blade, Mr. Coheed Kilgannon. Guys, I have so much left. You gotta let me keep going.
Oh man! Like I do want to love this, and I'm sure there's going to be something good here eventually. But the names are not it.
You guys ready for child murder? Because Coheed wakes up from a nightmare that he has basically nightly, where he breaks out of this lab full of scientists with these metallic claws that are like coming out of his arm. That's totally original. We've never seen that anywhere before.
No.
His wife Cambria says it's just a dream. Don't worry about it. So in Image 5, we see just the lovely, like all of the family gathered together around the around the breakfast table. We see Coheed and Cambria's 2 youngest children, twins Maria and Matthew, their teenage son Claudio. That's the name you've heard before. And the oldest daughter Josephine. And they all live in a quiet, happy suburb on the planet Hectricius.
Hectricius looks a hell of a lot like mid-century America.
Yeah, specifically New Jersey.
It is bold to put your own name in the comic book.
Well,
as like a kid, especially if your name is so distinct.
Do you want to guess?
I have a feeling, though, Andrew's about to tell us that this kid's about to get killed.
Well, one of these kids is going to make it, and one of these kids is going to become our special boy.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
It's not Josephine. The story begins when Coheed is approached by a mysterious man named Mayo Deftenwolf, a general serving in the Red Army. He is Image 6.
Mayo.
All these names sound like they come from the same like name generator that Donald Glover got Childish Gambino from.
Hey, DC Comics called, and they're filing for copyright infringement on Cyborg. against General Mayo
like,
Dettenwolf.
He super looks like Cyborg. General Dettenwolf approaches Coheed and reveals to him that he and his wife were actually both created in a lab, bred to be destructive bioweapons.
Classic.
Right?
As one does. Happens.
If I had a nickel.
Coheed was dubbed the Beast, and Cambria was dubbed the Knowledge. And together, along with Coheed's brother Jesse, the Inferno, the three of them made up the elite KBI, which was a fighting force designed to defend the frame.
Okay, so for all the names we're dunking on, Coheed and Cambria are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Like those are good. And that's the last sentence I'm going to say about that.
But Todd, here's the twist, right?
Oh, the only one. The only twist?
Unfortunately, Coheed was actually injected with an experimental virus known as the Monstar.
No.
Wait, like the bad guys from Space Jam?
Like the bad guys from Space Jam.
Yep. The Monstar virus was then carried over to his children and mutated as the Sin Star.
Nope. That's not better.
Okay.
And he explains, if gone unchecked, the Sin Star virus would lead to the inevitable destruction of the entire Keywork. So, Mayo Dettenwolf tells Coheed that the only choice is that he kill his children.
Man.
That's it. Like, that's it. And that is the level of convincing that Coheed Kilgannon needs in order to do a child murder.
I mean,
hey, so like that's not very much.
No.
That's about all the other famous story of child murder from the Bible. That's all the convincing Abraham needed as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
there's
there's a lot of biblical connections to this. Our special boy Claudio, spoiler alert, is an analogy for Jesus.
I was gonna guess Mayo.
It's not Mayo. Mayo is the devil. So the thinly veiled excuse, the very sinister Mayo Dettenwolf tells Coheed, on each of your children's 23rd birthday, the Sin Star will basically like
ignite.
Ignite, yeah, whatever verb you want to use. Well, it just so happens to be Josephine's 23rd birthday tomorrow, so Coheed needs to do it today. And he says, and Dettenwolf says, if he doesn't do that today, then the Red Army will kill them all instead, and they will do it much more slowly. And he says that with he's a very sinister, he is again, like Star Wars. He is Admiral what's his fuck in the first Star Wars movie.
Tarkin.
Tarkin. He's just evil for evil's sake.
Yeah.
He's just a piece of shit. Just a piece of shit, sadistic
So you
bastard.
can either kill your daughter or we will, but kill her worse.
Yeah.
Both options bad. Both options equally painful for you, probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, hey, guess what? This guy is evil, and to show that he's evil, we cut to the Legion of Doom. Supreme Tri-Mage Wilhelm Ryan sitting on his throne atop his prog rock castle named the House Atlantic.
Fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is, again, fucking rad. And the House Atlantic looks awesome. It's
obviously, nothing looks cooler than prog rock castles.
Exactly.
Prog rock castles are the epitome of cool.
Yeah, the epitome, exactly. So Mayo contacts Wilhelm Ryan and tells him
wait, stop everything.
I can't tell if that's a joke or if
we're gonna
we
let
need
it
to
go.
lean into Matt for saying epitome it wrong.
We're going to let it go.
Okay.
We love Matt. So
it was intentional.
I figured.
So Mayo then calls Ryan and says, "Phase 1 is complete." Wilhelm Ryan is basically Megatron. He's got big he's like yes. He says, what does he say? He says, Coheed and Cambria will need to be taken to Paris, Earth, in 2 days. And if Mayo can't do that, then the priests will take care of it while he's rubbing his hands together.
Sure.
And he closes out by saying, the priests, along with the flies, will destroy all of Sector 12. So there you go.
Okay.
We are also, one of the things that this book does that I do not like is it jumps around a lot. It is there are a lot of characters, there are a lot of things happening simultaneously. And like you'll get one page and like something happens, and then you'll jump back and you'll jump back again. So like the first half of Second Stage Turbine Blade, I swear to God, are just like introductions. So I'm cutting out. There's a lot more here when I'm not talking about. I'm just going to give you the most important people. So we're quickly introduced to the Prees, which is this race of blue-skinned kind of female angel warriors who are...
You go ahead.
They're all based on Star 4, which is the center of Heaven's frame. Remember Good Apollo and Burning Star 4? Yeah.
I was going to say they're like flying, winged, blonde-haired Cortanas.
Yeah, or they're angels. They're angels. I mean, again, this is very biblical, very Catholic. So that's image 7. And then here we go, our self-insert good special boy Claudio. Image 8. He's being bullied at school to illustrate that he is misunderstood, but he doesn't fight back because he is a good special boy. Later on, he goes gallivanting around the town with his girlfriend Nuo, and they have very hypersexualized self-insert high school love and just, go out gallivanting around town. That's image 8.
Can I bring up a question real quick?
Sure.
The only one I'm going to have. So Claudio, as you said, becomes an allegory for Jesus Cristo. Are you, Andrew, telling me 30 minutes into this podcast that the front man of Coheed and Cambria made a comic book where he self-inserted his name onto a character and made that character an allegory for Christian Jesus?
I really wish I could tell you no.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Anyway, so Claudio's our special boy. We flip to... Okay, trigger warning. This next scene deals with sexual assault, and it is completely unnecessary and does not need to happen. It is only here because it's strictly edgelordy and super misogynistic. So, fair warning. The next scene is we see Josephine, the oldest of the children, and her fiance Patrick driving through the city because they're celebrating that Patrick just proposed, I think. They stop in Jersey City, which I should note is not Jersey City, USA, even though it looks like New Jersey that they're in. It is Jersey City in Hectricius.
Stupid.
And the title card usually literally says Jersey City, space.
So you could port any city you want
We're
to
gonna
a different planet.
We're gonna
You want
colonize
Jersey City.
We're gonna colonize all of space and only recycle the same 150 town names we have.
And to be clear, there is an Earth, and because that's Paris: Earth.
Yeah,
and there's also a silent Earth, which is different.
Shut up.
Woof.
Fuck. Yeah. So they stop at some makeout point, and they're assaulted by a gang, and Josephine is raped, and it sucks. Like it is gross. There's no reason this happens. It's just to be edgy, and we're not going to talk about it anymore because it sucks. So Coheed returns home after being told he has to do a child murder, and he talks about it with his wife. And again, there's one page where they're like, "Should we kill our kids?" And it's like, "Well, it's for the good of the fence." And
I guess we don't have a choice when you put it that way. Yeah.
Yep. So he poisons. So again, Mayo Defton Wolf gives him a suitcase full of poison because that's something that you do. So Coheed poisons his 2 children, thinking it's gonna take them really quick. And it doesn't, and they suffocate to death, a really tragic death. So there's a scene where Coheed's holding them in his arms, and he's like, "I can't do this again. I can't do this again." Yeah, you idiot! You just killed your kids, you fucking moron. So he goes downstairs, and Josephine, because she just got sexually assaulted, is crying and throwing up in the sink, and Cambria's consoling her, and then they have a psychic conversation because also Cambria has psychic telepathy powers. We'll get there.
Okay.
Coheed bashes her head in with a hammer. And he does it.
Sure.
And then she's dead. So they decide that that's a less painful death. So anyway, cut to another character.
What's Patrick, the fiance, have to say about that?
He has a whole side story, and we're not going to talk about it because it doesn't matter because he dies. There's I swear to God, 15 pages of Patrick just driving and being chased by Constantine priests, and it doesn't matter because he gets murdered. He doesn't matter.
Got it.
Yep. But Claudio wrote a whole side comic about Patrick, which is fun.
Neat.
Do any of Patrick's exploits make it onto any of the albums?
Yep. He has a whole song. It's called
This
33.
is so much more wild than I would have assumed. That I could have guessed.
All right, so we're going to introduce one more major player here. This is Mariah Antillaria. I don't have a picture of this one because basically when you're introduced to Mariah, she's just she's floating naked in a weird Dragon Ball Z isolation, like heavy pressure chamber, in a hyperbolic Dragon Ball Z training chamber. And I think it's implied that she's also a prize, but she doesn't have like the angel wings or anything. Doesn't matter. Just know that Mariah and Jesse are married and she's the leader of the resistance. Done. So cut back to House Atlantic. Wilhelm Ryan releases his trained hounds, the Constantine Priests. And this is image 9. And by trained hounds, I mean they are zombified Cronenberg monsters that have teeth like Baraka from Mortal Kombat.
Cool.
Yep. So I mentioned the Tri-Mage. So you asked what a Tri-Mage was. So in the beginning, there were 3 races in this world. You had the humans, which are humans. You had the Prees, which are your angels. And you had the mages. And the mages were kind of like demigods that were designed to rule over humanity. Wilhelm Ryan, we come to find out, killed all of the mages in the Mage Wars, and that was when Wilhelm Ryan basically took control of Heaven's Fence. So what happened was, we find out later, you don't know this yet, but I'm going to tell you, he did black science to all the mages and turned them into these monsters and called them the Constantine Priests. And that is image 9.
Okay.
I mean, that name's kind of rad.
Yeah, that's a cool name.
Yeah.
They look cool. They're good.
Yeah.
They're good
Yeah,
bad guys.
they're pretty metal. So for the first third of the book, there's a lot of just like Constantine priests chasing Patrick, Constantine priests chasing Claudio's girlfriend Nuo, Constantine priests chasing Claudio, and I'm not going to talk about it because there's nothing to say. Just that's what happens. But
So,
Patrick super dies. So there you go.
I hate to keep interrupting with these questions. So
Yeah, sure.
So how on the nose are the other songs on the album?
We're going to talk about it.
Do the words Constantine Priests appear in the lyrics of these songs?
So that's a really good question. I actually, that's my fault. I should have set this up earlier. So I actually went through every single song for these 2 albums, and I kind of broke down the nods, because again, these are concept albums, so some of them have more subtle nods than others.
Okay.
We'll talk about it. We're going to go track by track, basically.
Okay.
Cool.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, so we see Mayo Deftenwolf talking to Wilhelm Ryan. Wilhelm Ryan mentions the Book of Gonsgrad. Okay. This is this universe's mystical prophecy.
Sure.
And this is not the last time we're going to hear about Gonsgrad.
Why would it be?
Yep.
The prophecy predicts that a child will be born to a trio and believes that this child will challenge his rule, the chosen one. He also believes that the child might be, wait for it, Claudio Kilgannon.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And therefore sends the priests and Mayo Deftenwolf all out to find Claudio.
Okay.
Mayo, with this knowledge, heads back to the Kilgannon's home on Hectrasius and finds Coheed and Cambria there with the dead bodies of their 3 children, because they have 4, so Claudio has not gone home yet. Mayo asks Coheed where Claudio is, and that's when Cambria remembers that she has Jean Grey powers.
Got it.
And she gets this vision of the Red Army torturing Claudio. She has this weird telepathic conversation with Coheed, and Coheed realizes that, maybe this guy that told me to kill my kids is not on the up and up,
Yeah.
Something fishy going on.
Yeah, so he loses his damn mind, and metallic blades retract from his arm, and then he slices through a bunch of soldiers that are surrounding him, like a Wolverine. Yeah?
Like a Wolverine. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The 2 of them are tranquilized and are taken hostage by the Red Army to Paris, Earth. So Coheed and Cambria are gone. Maria, Matthew, Josephine, all dead in the Kilgannon's home. Claudio arrives home to find his sister lying in a pool of blood, and he grabs her and holds her in his arms, and at a brief flash of light, she comes back to life for just a few minutes and tells him what happened.
What?
And then dies again, and this is image 10.
Okay.
For plot reasons.
So
Remember I said that Claudio is Jesus powers?
Yeah, I was gonna say the Jesus allegory is not subtle.
Kyle, there's nothing subtle about this story. So this is happening. He's holding Josephine in his arms. This is the first time the Constantine priest attacks. What you saw in Image 9 was Claudio fighting against the priest. So Claudio tries to fight back with the hammer that killed Josephine. Not able to do anything, but to his surprise, Claudio turns invisible and is able to slip away because he has special boy powers.
Nice.
Are his powers whatever the plot dictates them to be in that moment?
I will defend the story a little bit and say that he does have consistent powers, and the powers make sense for in-universe. Like, there's a reason why all these people have powers. It's just stupid. So cut back to Coheed and Cambria. So this is that's like Act 1 of Second Stage Turbine Blade. Act 2 is mostly Coheed and Cambria are in transit to Paris, Earth. So they're on this ship called the Gloria Velvesa, I think it is. While they're in transit, you see them in these two blue science tubes floating in science goo, and Coheed's memories come flooding back. And remember, he was told that he was a secret operative and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So he remembers that he was created in a test tube by a man named Dr. Hohenberger. Also, he remembers Dr. Hohenberger injecting baby Josephine with the virus. This the whole thing, yeah. Coheed wakes up and goes all Wolverine on the scientist's asses. So again, like Weapon X shit, right? Coheed shatters the glass with his arm blades. Cambria wakes up and uses her telekinetic powers because she's Jean Grey, and she just explodes the scientist, and the two go on a fucking rampage, and it rules. Like, this is when I was reading this, I was like, oh yeah, I'm back in. Okay, let's cool. This is cool. This is image 11 and 12 here. So there's a certain point when Coheed's like kind of ripping people apart, and this soldier's like, please don't kill me, I have kids at home. And Coheed says, they were my kids, and that didn't stop me. Slice!
And he doesn't slice them. He doesn't slice the guy's head off at the neck like you would think. He slices the top of his like skull cap off.
Yeah. He cuts him like a Christmas ham, and then at a certain point, his arm starts to like boil, and he just rips off the skin in his arm, and whoops, there's a gun there.
Incredible.
Oops, forgot about my gun arm.
Yeah. So also Coheed's Mega Man, and it rules. So that's in image 12 is him. He's just got a laser cannon on his arm, and it's the best. It's like, so the for people that who can't see the image, it's Coheed saying, the bridge. We have to stop this ship. ... And these fucks are in our way.
Just in case you forgot how edgy things were in 2003.
I was just going to say there's so much edge in this.
So much edge.
Not to mention the fact that Coheed and Cambria are shredded.
Yeah, right?
Absolutely cut.
This is like the arts. Okay, I should know too. The art style in this series is very sporadic because I mentioned it kind of in the background, but the first two volumes of Second Stage Turbine Blade were created a long, long time ago. And actually, the Second Stage Turbine Blade, the album came out before the rest of the volumes came out. So Claudio had them written but never got them published. So for a long time, fans kind of like would piece together the songs and try to figure out what they were talking about. And it wasn't actually until like mid 2000s when Claudio actually got a publishing deal and got the entire comic re-inked and republished. So a lot of these stories nobody knew until like years after the albums came out.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, and we're going to talk about when we talk about the albums, because, again, they're very specific. Like, they are not subtle. Some of them aren't. Anyway, also, there's a lot of gratuitous butts, because, of course, there is. This is 2003. Like,
yep.
It's Rob Liefeld as fuck. So, while all this is happening, Jesse, the Inferno, is like tracking them in his spaceship. Because he's kind of like watching them. He knows that Wilhelm Ryan can trigger the Monstar virus at any point and set off in motion, yada, yada, yada. So Coheed and Cambria are just rampaging through the ship. They make it to the bridge, and they try to hold up the crew from like moving on. but then they find out the ship's on autopilot and they can't change course. So like, oh dang. So we flip back to Claudio. I mentioned Claudio's just been running from the priests. He realizes he needs to get off planet. He can't hide anywhere. So he sneaks onto a garbage hauler, like a big old garbage space truck, and kind of has this like moment where he's like, I'll never see my family or my home again. And then the first half of the book ends with Mariah, remember the leader of the resistance. She's preparing to lead her troops on an assault against House Atlantic, but is decimated in a surprise attack. So it doesn't happen. So, Volume 2, the back half of Second Stage Turbine Blade, we cut back to the present day, which is, again, Jesse's telling the story in present day. He's talking about the children, and these children are being created as the ultimate weapon, not Shadow the Hedgehog. So that'll come up later. Back in the story universe, Jesse's radioing Mariah to tell her to get to Paris, Earth. So this is kind of setting up everybody. The climactic end of Second Stage Turbine Blade is everybody on Paris, Earth. One more main character for Second Stage. We've got Image 13 is of Ambelina, which is our kind of our main prize characters. So Ambelina has been given the duty of finding and protecting the crowing. What's the crowing, you asked? Well, I'll tell you.
I don't think we actually asked, but yeah.
The crowing is our special boy, Claudio. That's the title that the prophecy is given to our special boy.
Because now he is Jesus and the crow.
And the crow, yeah.
Yeah.
So in order to be with the crowing or to protect the crowing, she has to have her hair and her wings burned off for some reason. I don't really know. But she does, and she leaves in search of Claudio, and she's Image 13. Back to Claudio. Claudio's on this garbage ship, and he discovers that he's actually on a slaver ship. Headed to a colony called Sea Revity, which is a labor camp on the actual garbage planet Shilos 10. What we find out is Ryan's army uses these like green aliens that they transport there for slave labor, and then they just throw the aliens into this reactor that powers House Atlantic.
In case you weren't sure how evil the Red Army and everybody was.
Yeah. They're just using people as power. So The Matrix also was a fun movie that came out. So while hiding out in this slave camp, Claudio meets a slave alien named Cecil, and the two develop a nice little friendship. Meanwhile, Coheed and Cambria while they're on their ship, kind of, headed for Paris, Earth, they're eventually joined by Jesse, who is, again, helping them try to get the ship away from Paris, Earth. But the three of them are stopped by Admiral Vylar Krom, who replaces Mayo as Ryan's second in command, and he is Image 14. And he's basically Robot Boba Fett.
Yeah, he's got some Meta Knight helmet vibes there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait, so this guy replaces Mayo?
Yeah, because Mayo fucked up and didn't get Claudio because Claudio escaped.
Okay,
got it.
Is Mayo dead now, or is he?
He's not. He got demoted.
He's spun off and gets his own adventures. Okay.
Yeah, he's Starscream. Mayo Depth and Wolf was absolutely Starscream.
Got it.
So the three of them, Coheed, Cambria, and Jesse, the KBI, are reunited, and they fight back against Admiral Krom, but unfortunately aren't able to beat him, and Jesse is impaled in the back with a steel pipe, and Super dies, except he doesn't.
Because why would he?
Yeah.
It's just a pipe. Rub some dirt on it. It'll be fine.
While all this is happening, we have Ambelina trying to find Claudio. She runs into Nuo, which is Claudio's high school girlfriend. Nuo's being chased down by one of the priests. Patrick's already dead at this point. But Ambelina saves Nuo because she's a woman and she needs saving, because that's what this is. This is a very misogynist book, Ambelina learns that Claudio escaped the planet because he's on that trash compactor thing. Back on the ship, Krom takes the captive Coheed and Cambria the rest of the way to Paris, Earth, to meet up with Wilhelm Ryan. So we're setting up the big climax on Paris, Earth. The prize arrive and are attempting to evacuate the citizens, because I think this is Earth. I think that's the idea. Mariah also shows up with the remaining resistance and tries to assassinate Mayo, but fails, and Mayo cuts off her head in a very and holds it up as a trophy.
Yeah.
And then takes it. And then what Mayo does is take Mariah's head to Wilhelm Ryan, and that's what reinstates him as the general. So that's the thing that happens.
Okay.
So that's what Mayo's doing. So we start to see Wilhelm Ryan's big plan start to come into fruition. So you remember I mentioned the flies before. You guys remember the flies, right? I'm sure you do.
Yeah,
What?
the flies will eat something, right?
Destroy Sector
something?
12.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
So Coheed and Cambria are being held in these chairs with like big metal prongs holding their eyes open, like in a Clockwork Orange. You ever see that? Ryan then releases thousands of these genetically engineered dragonflies with this virus that I cannot remember the name. It's like Cash virus or Clash virus, something like that. Doesn't matter. So the dragonflies are released, and one bites Coheed and Cambria. Coheed's eyes start to glow red as the dragonflies trigger the Monstar virus within him, and Coheed fucking hulks out, and that's image 15.
It's kind of like that bee scene in The Wicker Man.
Yeah, a little bit, but like super rad. So again, this is like, I don't think the Second Stage Turbine Blade is a very good comic. I will reiterate. But there are points where I was like, yeah, man, yeah, this is cool. This was another one where like he turns into like full on abomination and just goes fucking nuts.
It's a comic where you have to like buy into a lot. It sounds like, but
Yeah.
once you buy into all of it,
it's fun.
It's rad. Yeah, I get it.
But it's not just Coheed that's transforming. So we talked a lot about the Monstar virus, but what they didn't know is that Cambria also has a virus. It's not named. But she is turned into this character called the White Ruineer. And she's on image 16. Yeah. And it's basically, she just gets like full like iron armor.
Yep.
And kind of like turns into like, I don't even know like what the like closest like Marvel allegory to that.
I would say
like
that
Silver
she is
Samurai is what,
Okay.
where my mind went.
leaving Marvel altogether. It's like female Shredder with infinity gems embedded in.
Yeah, sure. That's fair. So basically, like, White Ruineer is destined to be the key that unlocks the lock that is Monstar. So she's the one that's the only thing that can stop Monstar. Basically,
I am the key. I am the gatekeeper. Are you the key master?
There it is.
That's it. I was thinking. I in my head, I went going back to the Nier episode. She's like the Emil, like. If you guys remember the backstory with Emil, the little guy with the head. Anyway, doesn't matter. That was
just for
for me.
That was just for you.
All right, fine. So they transform, and also Monstar / Coheed just like rips apart Admiral Crom, like tears him to shreds. Coheed just like again hulks out, and he just leaps off into the sky, like just, and then Cambria follows closely behind. So they just leave the atmosphere. And while the prize are fighting back the Red Army still. So again, we're on Earth. Like we're like Earth S Earth. The prize are trying to like keep the citizens safe, but like fighting back the Red Army, whatever. So we cut back to Claudio in the slave camp. He has his first hero moment when he intervenes when a guard's assaulting another slave. As you do, as you know, he's doing chosen boy things. This, of course, grabs the attention of the Constantine priest who's tracking him, because of course it does.
Yep.
So the priest later then attacks him in the camp. Claudio is able to fend him off with his special boy powers, but Cecil is like, "You gotta go. You're too dangerous." Right? Because he's just like he's always hot. Like he's bringing all this craziness with him. So Claudio leaves, and he's like, "Oh man, I don't belong anywhere. I'm a special boy." So back to Coheed. Coheed lands on the surface of Star 7. It's just called Star 7. That's fine. And he's just like hulking out, right? This strange vapor starts like emanating from his body. That vapor starts to choke the star of all its energy and basically cools the star down. And then completely severs its connection to the keywork.
Oh,
remember the keywork? This is like the MacGuffin energy that holds
our
all
big our framing device. Yeah.
Yep. So this starts a chain reaction that takes down eventually the entire keywork, and that is like again, it sounds silly, but like this is how like this they don't use gravity. Like the keywork holds all the planets together. So like if the keywork is gone, all the planets are going to start colliding into each other because there's 78 fucking planets in a line.
Yeah.
So like they need the keywork to live. So that was Wilhelm Rein's like big plan, was just to like destroy the Keywork, chaos, whatever.
So you said it let me find it here. It eventually destroys the Keywork?
Yeah, it's like a chain reaction.
Does this
slowly
happen?
Takes down the Keywork.
Does this happen like now, or are the actions now in movement? And like as the story plays out, they're racing against the Keywork falling apart.
Good question. The Keywork is down in the story.
Okay, so that just happens, and then
that just happens.
And from here on, we're dealing with the Keywork going down entirely.
Correct.
Got it.
So in Image 17 is Cambria arriving on Star 7 and basically like using her powers to pull a sword from her chest, like manufacture a sword from her chest. And
Hell
the two
yeah.
have a real sick anime battle.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's awesome. Cambria is able to kind of like stun Coheed as Monstar, and then just like Kali Ma reaches into his heart and strangles the Monstar virus because she can do that,
Sure.
which like starts to revert him back to normal, and then she's still like of sound mind, so she stabs herself with her own sword, and the two die in each other's arms, and it's like very poetic. But as she dies, the power that like the immense power within her releases this like massive cosmic energy that reignites the star and creates like a whole new thing in its place, and that's Image 18.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's rad.
Okay.
So that happens. Back on Earth, the Prize are fighting the Red Army. The Prize are not intended, like the Prize are very much like angels, right? Like they are not humans. They're not bound by our rules. They're not bound by our laws, whatever. They don't really give a crap what happens to humans. They just are protecting the Keywork and the frame. So when the Keywork goes down, the Prize are like, fuck. And they all just
leave.
peace out.
Okay.
They all just leave. But this basically abandons like the entire colony. The Prize then collect together in space and harness their Kingdom Hearts friendship energy to repower repower the Keywork, and then they all like explode into dust. So the Prize have successfully reignited the Keywork, and that's restored, but the Keywork still lost 9 planets that fell off, which is the entirety of Sector 12. Those 9 planets then get pulled away and orbit around a new sun, creating a new solar system.
No.
Ever heard of it?
No.
So it's like Christianity slammed into Scientology, and then we got a prog band out of it.
So Image
Just
19
created-
shows
we just prog rocked our way through a big bang is what we
Yep.
did.
So Image
Yeah.
19 shows how our solar system was created, and everybody unilaterally believes it.
Great.
Okay. I realize we're not done yet. If you would have said, "Hey Todd, Coheed and Cambria, right? There's some graphic novels that go along with their CDs. You want to guess what they're about?" And you would have said, "Take 300 guesses." I wouldn't have got there.
Todd wouldn't have landed on The Big Bang, but in a really weird way.
Yep. So the epilogue of of Second Stage Turbine Blade is Jesse is now present day, so 6 years later. Jesse is a boxer known as Prize Fighter Inferno for some reason.
Two big thumbs down on Prize Fighter.
Yep.
So
Also, Prize
bad.
Fighter Inferno is the name of a solo project that Claudio Sanchez released in 2006.
Yep. There it is.
So Jesse squares off against a surviving Prize that informs him that she is waiting for the crowing to come and save the Keywork. This is Ambelina. Claudio, meanwhile, has grown up because we have a time skip and is now a very haggard man hiding down in the sewers of Shiloh's 10. So he just lives on this planet and is a homeless person.
With
Andrew,
glasses and a beard to show that time has passed.
No glasses. He can't afford that.
Andrew, does Claudio look like a younger, more sexy version of Claudio from Coheed and Cambria?
I would like to hold your question until we get to In Secrets of Silent Earth 3.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about the album. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go track by track in the album, and then I'm going to call whatever the official, like the most not subtle references are, because basically the idea is these albums do run alongside the story of the comics, but again, it's a concept album, so some are more subtle than others. Some would be like a monologue for a particular character, or some songs might be showing like an entire like swath of time, right? So it just depends. So we'll go track by track. Second Stage Turbine Blade, the album. So this is, again, reminder, this is the punk rock album. This is their first studio album. For being their first album, it's wild that the first track, which is called Second Stage Turbine Blade, is just an instrumental track.
What a bold move.
It's a bold move.
That was a thing at the time, though.
It was a thing. It's the overture. Yeah. It's the overture of the play. Like, I get it. It's fine.
Yeah. It's just so, like...
Because you had the XX
this was, what,
intro 2 was a...
Yeah. But just to see a band in 2002 put out a so not radio-friendly album it's all... I mean, like... Anytime a new band puts out a album and is like, hey, we're just not trying to be commercially successful, it's interesting, but especially in 2002. It's
a hard sell to be a concept-only band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Interesting Easter egg. So this is just instrumental, but there is this kind of, I will try to find the melody that gets played, and we'll hopefully be able to insert it here a little bit, but there is this repetitive or this reappearing melody that shows up on multiple albums, and a lot of fans assume or think that it relates to the passage of time, basically.
Okay.
Which again,
cool.
it is super cool. Yeah. There's an interesting Easter egg here. So remember I talked about the Year of the Black Rainbow, which is a prequel. So the Year of the Black Rainbow's last track actually bleeds right into this track, which is kind of cool because it's a prequel to this.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah. So the first real track of the album is called Time Consumer. That's track 2 in this album. This is about the child murder. So again, first concept album, first track's instrumental, second track's about child murder. Here you go, record label. It's a bold move. So this is Coheed's inner monologue about having to murder his children. Some of the lines in the chorus: Maria, my star, Matthew, good night. You know by law you'll be forgiven. And he actually says that in the comic, Maria, my star, good night, Matthew.
Oh.
And this is what Coheed's telling himself when he's holding his dead children. The third track is called Devil in Jersey City. This is recounting the Josephine and Patrick driving through Jersey City, and we are not going to talk about it because it sucks and it's unnecessary. It's a good. I mean, it's a good song. It sounds good, but again, this is their punk album, and it's 2002. It doesn't age well. It's not cool.
Edgy
it's
for
not.
the
It's
sake
not
of
edgy.
being edgy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fuck you for having a song like that or having a story like that. Everything Evil is a really good track. So this is the flip when Coheed and Cambria both realized they've been tricked by Mayo to kill their kids, because again, that was it'd take a lot of convincing. There's a line that says, "Evolve, Monstar. Show me the things that I've never wanted done." Is Coheed unlocking his memories?
Yeah.
And in this, because again, this is a punk album, so you hear it's screaming "Evolve," and then Claudio says, "Monstar, show me the things I never wanted done." We're gonna do a lot of these. There's a couple other lines here. A series of knocks to the young girl's head side. Come write me a letter and paste it on my refrigerator door. Inspected, Inspector. I think we found something over here. This is a scene when the police are investigating the Kilgate at his home. Mm-hmm. Would you run? Would you run? Would you run down past the fence? And she screamed, "Claudio, dear Claudio." Now, there's a lot of the Coheed songs. Matt will remember this from the show, but there are a lot of songs in Coheed albums that are call and responses.
Yeah.
And these their shows are always very audience participation. So this is the first repetitive call and response. So Claudio, the singer, goes, "Claudio, oh, dear Claudio, oh." It is amazing that Claudio Sanchez wrote a call and response
I was gonna say this,
using his own fucking name.
Yeah. Yeah.
This paints a pretty vivid picture as to the Post Malone opening, where if there's not a lot of people in the audience that know your songs, and you're relying on call and response, you're gonna have a bad time.
You're gonna have a bad
time. Yeah, that's why. I mean, that's why you don't do festivals if you can't guarantee the audience.
That's why you don't open for Post Malone.
That's a management problem. Yeah. Also Delirium Trigger was the original name of the EP. Delirium Trigger is the Rampage. So that's when Coheed rips off his skin and reveals a gun arm. But the song is like very sinister. It's actually from the vantage point of the Red Army Guards. So the first line, we're now up here alone. Terror on the intercom. Can someone save us? Systems malfunction. Blasted this damn machine. Over and out, Captain. Pretty cool.
Huh. Do they mention the gun arm?
They don't.
Okay.
They don't.
It's a really similar lyric to the beginning of Major Tom.
Yeah. Different vibe, but yeah.
Yeah.
This suddenly reminds me a lot of Deer Hunter, but different.
Hey, so that's really interesting. I was just looking at the label that released this album because I was really curious who did it, and it's Equal Visions Records, who the Deer Hunter is currently signed to. There you go, Todd. Anyway, what were you saying?
I think they toured together at one point too.
That would not surprise me.
They come up a lot in bills with Circus Survive when I play them on Spotify playlists or artist playlists.
The entire, like, the most well-known stuff from the Deer Hunters is like the Axe trilogy, or not even trilogy. There's like 5 or 6 of them now. And at one point they do, I mean, there's multiple songs from multiple perspectives, but one of them is like a song from the perspective of the big bad. And it's like funny because like the big bad is painting the protagonist as the bad guy, and it's really, really well done. And it's cool. I've suddenly got this tie together.
This is less.
Yeah. And for $50, I'll talk to you about the Deer Hunter.
Yeah, fair. Hearshot Kid Disaster is the next track. The Hearshot Kid is a really weird reference. It's only mentioned once, and it's when Claudio is on who is referencing an event that happens when Claudio is on the slaver ship. So he's kind of like walking around the cargo hold, and he finds a star, which is what is the racist term for these green alien slaves. And he kind of uses his special boy Inviso powers to free the alien, upon which the alien screams and attacks him and then just like runs away. And that just happens, and like there's no follow-up. It's just like, that was weird. But like, like 3 hours later, 3 hours of real time later, we're in the labor camp, and Cecil is recounting this guy is like some hero throughout the other slaves, and they call him the Hearshot Kid for some reason. So he's like a hero because he ran away. I don't know. But it's just kind of fun. So the song starts with Claudio Sanchez screaming into the mic to call back that freeing of the alien, which is like fun. So this song, Kyle, you asked earlier, or Matt, I think it was like, what of Delirium Trigger exists now?
Yeah.
A lot of the old songs are on this, and remember too, the story wasn't entirely fleshed out, and it was also kind of different. Bag Online Adventures was a lot different than Amory Wars ended up being. So some of these songs in this album don't line up anymore. Case in point, there's a line that says, "Still searching for your faith in the arm that killed the president." Wilhelm Ryan was originally supposed to be the president and not the Supreme Trimage.
Interesting.
This is the song with the amazing call and response line, "I need Mayo, I won't fail you now."
Oh my god.
Which is Mayo and Wilhelm.
Really amazing.
It really
that they put that together when not that many people must have read the book at this point.
Yeah, what the fuck does "I need Mayo" mean?
Right?
Yeah. It's absolutely wild. The next track, 33, that song's all about Patrick for some reason. Claudio Sanchez loves Patrick. He feels like I read a thing where like Claudio Sanchez feels like Patrick got the short end of the stick. It's like he drove his girlfriend in a bad area, got her sexually assaulted, and then was just like, "Oh, it's fine." And then he got murdered like a scrub. Like, Patrick's fine. He got his due. Like, he doesn't need any more. So Claudio actually released like an entire side comic asking the question nobody asked: what was Patrick doing during all of this? What's Patrick up to?
I more than I want at this point, more than I want to like listen to these albums or read the comic, I want to find like archived forums of people trying to decipher this, because this is buck wild.
It's insane.
Like if you found the album without the comic, or vice versa, it's nuts.
I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, it's prog rock. So,
It is.
like I said, I've been listening to these albums. Like, I know every word to a lot of these songs, and it wasn't until 3 days ago when I even knew, like, what the fuck they were talking about. I've listened to the song The Crowing on Secret Signaler. I've been singing that song out loud for years, and I did not know the words were, "Dear Ambelina, the prize wishes you to watch over me." Like, if you, I didn't, that was just, it's just nonsense. You know what I mean? Like, it's just words. Like, it just sounds good. And that's why, like, this is like my favorite band, because the words don't matter. It's just like good music, you know?
But they do matter.
Well, they do matter. Yeah.
I'm kind of with Kyle here at this point. Like, looking back with, 2021 eyes on content made in like 2002, it's like, oh, I see all this problematic stuff that, was probably in 2002 looked at within the context of like, oh, well, that's just what that is. And I'm wondering if, like, what's Claudio's take nowadays? Is Claudio still the same person? Like,
to be fair, they don't play this music anymore. Okay. Like, this album doesn't see the light of day. He hates most of these songs. He does not play them. Fair. I think the only one that I've heard played live is Everything Evil.
Okay.
I'm not going to sit here and protect and defend him, but for what it's worth, they don't play these songs anymore, and that's why.
At very least, it seems they've moved past this.
Yeah.
If they haven't come out and straight up apologized, they have at least.
It's edgy misogyny.
Them. Yeah.
Well, and again, like, looking at 2002, like, we are almost firmly in the, like, Daniel Tosh rape joke era.
Yep.
That was mainstream humor that, that, like, problematic men were like, ha ha ha, this is great. And then the rest of society informed us, and we all caught on eventually that it was not good at all. So I guess I'm not going to, like, critique or defend, just, like, acknowledge that it was not good.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all you can do. I'm going to quickly go through these last couple ones here. So we've got June Song Provision. This is Second Stage's version of One Day More, like from Les Mis. We need to check in with all the main characters where they are. So this is everyone heading to Paris Earth. There's a line, Dear Nuo Ikin, how's Apollo been treating you? Has he been a good boy since the day I left? Give him my love and a sweet kiss for his head, because I won't be coming home. When you get this, I'll be dead. So that is part of Claudio's goodbye letter that he wrote to his girlfriend Nuo. And Apollo is her dog, which is the Apollo and Good Apollo I'm Burning Star for.
Okay. All right.
And that's the framing device for the next episode. Also, June Song is a nickname that Coheed calls Josephine by once. So... Neverender, the second to last track, is just another monologue by Claudio. Engraver Mistakes, Dear Mom and Dad, I write you in this letter that states, scratch through, I'll be moving on. When the new day's begun, forget your son and when he's out on his own. Scholars of Amory Wars say that this is recounting... They say that this is recounting the Battle of Coheed and Cambria as the Monstar and White Ruiner. I can't make heads or tails of this one. And then the last song, God Send Conspirator. This is the ending of Second Stage Turbine Blade, which is of course told by from Jesse's perspective. There's a line, he's reflecting on Mariah's death. Dear Mariah, the world's not big enough for the both of us when we live in the same town as well. Fight on fire, in parentheses, fight on fire. Burn my hands till I got nothing left to count my numbers on. And in the original album, there was actually a hidden track called iRobot. Not iRobot. iRobot. iRobot is the whole kind of deal with the next album story, which we're going to get into. But that was like the big foreshadowing for In Keeping Secrets. So that was the first hidden track. There's a hidden track on a couple of the albums, as far as I know. But iRobot is important. We'll talk about here in a bit. And then the song on God Send Conspirator ends with the same passage of time outro melody to, again, signify the time jump between Second Stage Turbine Blade and In Keeping Secrets. Okay, so that is Second Stage Turbine Blade. Questions, feelings, thoughts. How we doing?
I'll say it now so I don't have to remember to say it later. And this is kind of an open question, but also a question to you, Andrew Henderson, the person telling us this story. Obviously, there were a lot of lyrics that don't make any sense.
Correct.
Much like you said. How does you, the listener, listen to this album for years and years and years and not wonder. This isn't like Chickadee China the Chinese chicken.
Yeah.
You
Where
have
it's
a
like
drumstick in your
deliberately
brain stuck.
nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain. I am the kind of person, like, I don't really listen to lyrics a lot. Like, I listen to mostly instrumental stuff. Like, I like game music and things, and I listen to fucking soundtracks. So I like really instrumental stuff, and I don't really love, like, I like melodies and I like vocals, but I don't really care about lyrics. So that's why, like, I've always kind of resonated with this band, because, like, I don't really give a fuck what they're saying. Like, it's just words, you know? I've always, like, because they're kind of not subtle, and again, like, I don't love this album. I love In Keeping Secrets, which is a lot more subtle. I always knew, like, the beginning of this story. Like, I knew what Monstar was. I knew who the characters were. I just didn't really care. But I just, like, always made my own little stories about, like, Favor House Atlantic. We'll talk about it. Like, it's just, like, a fun story, and you can kind of, like, I don't know, it's kind of like listening to Shakespeare. You know what I mean? Like, this is not good. This is bad. This is not Shakespeare. But it's like listening to Shakespeare, where, like, you hear the words and you kind of, like, it doesn't really matter what they're saying. You kind of, like, make your own gists in your head.
You can map your own things
Yeah.
onto it, kind of.
I mean, and let
It's
me.
ineffable.
That's me asking not a judgmental question, but like an
No, not at
actual
all.
like I'm inquiring. And I mean, to ground myself here, like, I thought it was a Flavor House Atlantic until an hour and 20 minutes ago. So
Yeah. But
that's
it
fine.
didn't change your enjoyment of it, right? Like, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I only know the chorus.
I thought it was Amory Wars until 2 days ago. So there you go.
I have a question. Problematic content aside, out of 10, what do you rate this album?
6.5.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it's got some good punk stuff, but it's not prog rock. It's very different from the rest of their stuff. It's pretty missable. I would say Everything Evil is a good track. Delirium Trigger is there's some interesting stuff. I wish Devil in Jersey City was not based on the story it is, because from a song standpoint, it's pretty good. Time Consumer is okay. The rest of it's forgettable.
Okay.
Yeah,
Delirium Trigger is a phenomenal name. Like,
It's a
that's
great
an
name.
excellent track name.
Such a good name.
great name.
Just to double back real quick, I want to defend listening to music with absurd lyrics, because Rush has been a band for a long time.
Exactly.
And I was sitting here trying to think, because, like, you said that, Todd, and I was like, I mean, that's a valid point, but I know a lot of other bands that do that. What's the first band I can track it onto? And, like, Rush. I mean, 2112 in itself is mostly nonsense with the word guitar in there a couple of times. So.
Today's Tom Sawyer. He gets high on you. Like, who cares?
Yeah, but even like
that's
I
fair.
watched a documentary the other day about pop music, and they were like, "I want it that way." What does that mean? You want what way? Like, it's lyrics don't matter.
It's probably an allegory to sex, but also it might not be. Who's to say?
There's a famous interview with Neil Young years ago when somebody was asking Neil Young about Cinnamon Girl. Hey, you're my cinnamon girl, and they're asking, like, who's this about? Like, trying to, was this like a lost love or blah? He's like, it rhymed.
Yeah. Oh, especially knowing Neil Young, he's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. All right, awesome. Well, with that, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to when we come back, we're going to cover In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth: 3. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Eric,
I'm Amanda.
and we are House Breakfast, your new favorite Twitch stream that you should definitely be following.
Here's the thing. You can eat breakfast anytime, and we want everybody to know that. And you can also play video games in a low-stakes, fun way with a really wholesome chat every Tuesday and Saturday.
We're partners in life-loving podcasting, and that now includes streaming, because everyone needs to learn how to stream in 2021.
But playing games that we played on our N64 and PlayStation 2 and GameCube is soothing, and I think the one thing that might make all of this just kind of slightly better.
We really like Pokemon and Mario. You're just gonna have to deal with that.
So find us at twitch.tv/housebreakfast.
And follow us on Twitter at @housebreakfast_. House Breakfast, because you can eat breakfast anytime. That was pretty, I like that.
I like that too. Good
That
job.
was
Good job.
All right, welcome back. It is now time to talk about the second album/novel, In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3. Before we get into it, I just want to say this one is a lot better. I enjoyed it way more than Second Stage Turbine Blade. It's not smarter. Let me be very clear. but it is just like all the right fun and dumb. So,
remind me, was this also written before any of the albums were?
I don't know what the timeline is for the rest of these.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I think because a lot of the names of the songs are named after things, but again, like it's hard to say. I know for a fact that Second Stage Turbine Blade was like the pitch for the band.
Yeah.
I do not know the timeline for the rest of the stuff. I assume that it was, but it's hard to say. Okay. So, just like Second Stage Turbine Blade was narrated by Inferno in a flashback, In Keeping Secrets is narrated by Claudio in some undisclosed time in the near future, with Claudio sitting outside of his ex-girlfriend's Nuo's house, telling the story of the events of this book to her dog, Apollo. Okay? So that's the framing device. So every once in a while, we'll come back with Claudio kind of just being like, and Apollo, you'll never believe what happened next.
It's like, fuck it, I don't remember the movie. Go ahead.
Okay.
The Princess Bride.
God damn it, thank you.
It's How I Met Your Mother is what meant.
All I could think
How
of was
I
the
Met Your
Princess
Mother.
Diaries, and I was like, that's not Anne Hathaway, it's the other one.
The reason I brought up The Witcher before is all the Witcher books do this, and they all do it in a different narrative framing device. I don't love that because it's like really confusing and disorienting and kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
But people like it.
It's easy.
It's easy, and it's like the big surprise ending because everything ties together at the end. I get it.
Yeah.
So we have a time skip. Like every good anime, there is a time skip. So it's been 10 years since the end of Turbine Blade. Claudio is haunted by the ghost of his father, Coheed, who is, very much in like a Lion King Mufasa thing. His father is embodying like all the hate that he feels toward his father for what he did, and then the guilt he feels for himself for running away from everything, from his life, from the destiny that was thrust on him, blah, blah, blah. I should be clear. He kind of knows that he's like a special boy, but he doesn't really know.
He doesn't know how special of a special boy he is.
Yeah, exactly. And Coheed, like one of the framing devices is Claudio is constantly yelling at the apparition of his father, and it's actually like kind of cool. Like that's probably the best written stuff. There's like some daddy issues here, which like all right, I'll fuck with daddy issues. Let's go. And a lot of it is like Coheed's like, you can't run away from who you're supposed to be, and it's like it's not intended to be like overtly like you're the special boy, the chosen one, but it's like just like coming to terms with like being an adult and like being who you want to be versus like who you're supposed to be or whatever, like that kind of stuff. So it's fine, it's decent. We start with Inferno. You guys remember Inferno?
Machete.
Yep.
Machete. Yeah.
He is on his ship called the Grail Arbor. And we see his major plan. So we talked a little bit. You got some foreshadowing of iRobots and the children. So he has commissioned scientists to use his DNA to clone more iRobots. They age quickly or whatever. Let me explain what an iRobot is. An iRobot is what Coheed and Cambria and Jesse are. They are Weapon X, basically.
Gotcha.
They don't outright say that because I think like they wanted to make it a big reveal or whatever. They don't use the term iRobot until that hidden track, but that's what they are. So Jesse's using his DNA as an iRobot, and that's why Claudio has special boy powers because it's implied that he is too. Because Coheed and Cambria can't like have children. They're test tube babies.
Oh, gotcha. So the children were also manufactured and that whole setup was like implanted memories.
They don't outright say that. They show you that Josephine was manufactured. They don't outright say that Claudio was also. It doesn't matter.
The one would imply the other.
The one would imply the other. Yeah, exactly. So they were a reminder. They were all created by this man named Dr. Leonard Hohenberger, and the prequel Year of the Black Rainbow is all about this. So
okay,
great. So anyway, back in present day, the scientists keep referring to them as Inferno's children, but Inferno wants nothing to do with that. Image 20 is him looking at the baby iRobots, and it basically like the whole like side story with Inferno is like, they're your children. This is your son, your daughter. He's like, no, these are science experiments, blah blah blah. Even though like he's the one that ordered this, like whatever. Fine. There's some weird thing about like they age really quickly. So 6 years after Second Stage Turbine Blade, they start the development of the iRobots. 10 years after is where we are at in the story, and they are fully grown, quote unquote, because they age rapidly. Sure. There are really only 2 iRobots you need to worry about. This is setting up for one of the most important one. There's something where like they're having a conversation and they say Inferno is something they will age rapidly, and he looks at the baby. He says, don't let this one age rapidly. And the scientist says, well, it's too late. Her brain will already develop. And then he says, don't let her body go with it. So basically what he has sentenced this person to have a adult's brain in the body of a child, which like kind of sucks. Like, fuck you, Inferno.
Yeah.
Well, the body's still going to age rapidly, but like not as much. So whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that's not what like Jesse's Girl 2 is about?
It's not.
It?
No.
Okay.
Oh God.
All right.
That would be wild. That would be so cool.
That would be insane.
No, that is not part of the Amory Wars storyline.
Got it. Okay. Non-canon.
Non-canon. That's that's
the
your
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. of
Exactly.
the Coheed and Cambria universe, if you will.
Also, it's good to note there are some last surviving prize left. I keep wanting to say prize, but it's Prise. It's prize, and I know it's prize because Claudio says prize in one of his songs, so it's prize, and it's like prize fighting, you know.
Yeah.
Inferno. So the prize are still around, and the last couple ones are on board the Grail Arbor. Okay, so we cut back to Claudio in the story time canon. He's not doing great. When we last left Claudio, he was living in the sewers. So basically,
on Garbage Planet, on
Planet Garbage,
on Garbage Slave Planet. Yeah.
Yep, on Planet Garbage, Shiloh's 10. He's like basically just a drifter. He lives below the sewers in this city called Goddard Dam.
Good.
I hate that so much.
Which is a dystopia city. He scours the waterways to find dead bodies to pickpocket. Until one day, when he comes across...
It's every D&D rogue's tragic backstory.
One day he comes across an abusive father yelling at his child. So Claudio intervenes, like because he can't help himself, much like he did in the slave camp, and uses his powers to put the fear of God into the man in Image 21. Hey guys, who does Claudio look like?
He looks like white Jesus.
So I'll go even further that if you... To throw this one to Matt, if you've read any of the Walking Dead graphic novels, there's a character named Jesus who got the nickname because he looks like Jesus.
Yep.
And this man looks like Jesus, who's named Jesus.
Yeah. I followed that thread, and Todd is correct.
So remember last time when he did this on the slave camp, that attracted the attention of the priest. This does that again. So we have a new Constantine priest who looks like... kind of like 2 legs with a vagina with a mouth.
Great. Love that.
Yeah, it's very like a Bloodborne monster. But also this time, Ambelina is also tailing him. So Ambelina, you guys remember, is the priest who burned off her wings. She's been kind of searching for Claudio all these years. She ended up fighting against Inferno in that boxing match. Well, she's ended up on Shiloh's 10, and she's tracking Claudio as well. So that will be important later. We haven't seen Wilhelm and Mayo are doing in a while, so let's check in with them real quick. Wilhelm is still being Thanos. He is actually this book. He has later he's going to have his full transformation into Thanos, which I'm very excited for. So Wilhelm is searching for the last remaining prize. The prize are basically like the last thing that can threaten his power, with the exception of the special boy Claudio.
Right.
So they are following a lead on some lucky surge of keywork energy found on the storm planet Donar. It's a storm planet. It's a planet of storms.
Love it.
Love it.
All right.
So we cut back to Inferno on the Grail Arbor. We meet our 2 primary iRobots. We've got Image 22 and Image 23, Sizer and Chase. Sizer, it looks like Flash Thompson. And he's like the hothead. His hair is red, so you know he's a hothead. You know.
Yeah. Right.
And he just wants to be loved. He just wants to have a dad, and he just wants his dad to say. He just wants his dad to say, "I love you." And then we have Chase, who's the little girl who's got the adult brain in the child's body. She's our special girl. So we've got our special boy Claudio, our special girl Chase. Okay. We meet another new character in Goddard Dam, who's kind of like, he's just kind of around, kind of a Jar Jar Binks character, if you will.
Oh no!
You know what? I was wondering what this story needed, and I thought long and hard to myself, and it's definitely a Jar Jar Binks character.
Yeah. Image 24. This is Al.
This guy is bananas.
That's not what I thought the Jar Jar Binks character was going to be.
Al is a psychopath.
Really?
Well, he is Jar Jar Binks in edgy Star Wars.
Okay. So he's got.
I can't draw the line. I don't know what Jar Jar Binks in edgy Star Wars is supposed to be. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
so he's got like exposed brain.
Yeah.
And
in a porthole in his
porthole
forehead.
in his
Yeah.
forehead.
Like he could cover it if he'd just take like, you know, the pop tab that comes off of like a gallon of milk. He could just like press that right back on there.
He
He
got
needs
like
he needs a forehead stoma.
He's got like a tri-hawk.
That lines up with his tattoos.
Which do you think came first? I'm gonna guess the mohawk and then the tattoos.
So we haven't seen our like rampant misogyny yet. So this is our rampant misogyny. So Al is introduced as this kind of like wife beating piece of shit. And then he's just kind of like wandering around the streets, and he's like, "What's that guy doing?" Like he's like, it's like that kind of thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's not great. But you know, he comes into relevance later. Anyway, so Mayo and the Red Army arrive in Donar, and they're searching for the prize. So there's this whole thing about there's this like legend in Donar of the dragon in the air. Something about like it's like a storm dragon, like a very Legend of Zelda storm dragon thing.
Sure.
Where like
Yep.
the planet Donar was not always a storm planet, even though that's its name. Before Ryan's Mage Wars, remember that's the series of events that led to Wilhelm Ryan taking control. He attacked this planet, and everyone was forced to leave, but save for one citizen who stubbornly resolved to stay. And something like the gods. A god. This is like very much like the Christian God. Like there is one God. This is monotheistic. God gave like when this person died, God allowed this person to be reborn as a dragon to protect the planet or something.
I remember that in the Bible. Yeah.
So they're telling us this like very awesome exposition as they search for the Grail Arbor. And there's this like massive tsunami, and one of the ships is swallowed up by the water, and it gets dragged to the bottom of the ocean floor, where it comes face to face with, you guessed it, the Grail Arbor, which has been hiding under the storm. So kind of like the idea that like if you're hiding in apocalypses, the time police won't find you. It's like that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. If you're hiding under massive energy signals, the signal readers can't find you. So the dragon thing comes into play because the ship, we kind of see it from the Red Army's perspective, and like all of a sudden they see the Grail Arbor, and then you see Inferno say launch the dragons, and there's these like massive like dragon looking like missiles. They're made out of coral, and they have like mouth beams that start shooting out. It's like super rad. It doesn't make any sense. I'm into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's awesome. It's so cool. And it just like blows the ship to hell. And Inferno, and it's like the exposition is like Inferno made these synthetic coral dragon missiles like out of respect for the planet's dragon or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
Neat.
Yeah. In retaliation, Mayo says unleash the jackhammers. And the jackhammers are these like, these special kind of like Voltron-esque transforming ships that turn into these like massive, like literal jackhammers, but they're like, they like start pounding the surface of the ocean floor. and they make these like massive seismic waves to try to like kind of like blow out the Grail Arbor's like ships engines and stuff. It's pretty cool, honestly. It's very silly and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we hadn't checked the giant Transformer bot box yet, so
Yeah, we're gonna
There
check
also
that in
hadn't been a
space.
naval battle, so
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we're hitting a lot of things. Yeah.
It's the water dungeon.
So there's this kind of stalemate between the Grail Arbor and these jackhammers. The remaining prize that were aboard the Grail armor were like, sisters, it's time to strike, and they're kind of like, their whole thing was like, we're gonna protect you, Inferno, and he's like, why? I'm Machete, and they're like, we're gonna do it anyway, and then they do, and there's always like when the prize are there, like the action's always really cool because they like you see them all like they're like flying toward the camera, if you will, and they've got their swords out, and they're very like. It's just very epic, right? Like the absolute like biblical style of like Angel of Death, like that kind of imagery. It's like it's
the
objectively
Valkyrie.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is a Valkyrie. Yeah, exactly. It's objectively cool. So this breaks the stalemate and allows the Grail Arbor to escape back to their like new HQ, which is Silent Earth 3. Ding.
Good. Okay.
Where are the first two Silent Earths?
So the great question.
Do you have an actual answer for that? Wait, do you have a real answer for this question?
The naming convention of the planets, I've learned, is very sporadic, but the numbers don't refer to the number. There aren't not 3 Silent Earths. It's Silent Earth in Sector 3.
Okay.
Okay.
So just like there haven't been 182 blinks, there have not been 3 Silent Earths.
I would say it's more like how there is Paris, France. Does not mean every city, every country has a Paris, but there are other Parises.
Yeah, and Earth has a Paris.
Earth has a Paris. Well, that's what I kept going back to when you kept saying like Paris, Earth was like like it's obviously supposed to be like Paris with the Eiffel Tower.
That is Jersey City is not Earth. But Paris is because of the whole like dumb creationist thing. Yeah,
but like where my mind kept going was like there is a Paris like Indiana.
Yeah.
And that was much funnier to me to imagine them going to headquarters in Paris like Oregon instead of the Paris with all the cool shit in it.
And I was thinking the same thing, as there is a Versailles, but there is also a Versailles, Ohio. And depending on how uneducated you are when you read that, you're going to end up in 2 different places.
Yep. All right. Well, we flip back. So the Grail Arbor escapes. We flip back to Goddardam, and Claudio is attacked by another priest. So this is the Bloodborne monster priest. And he is saved just in time by Ambelina. And Ambelina is like super cool. Again, she's your Valkyrie character. Like, again, of course, you're going to get a lot of gratuitous butt shots, but she's like very cool, very collected, very serious. Like, she kicks ass, whatever. Now, this time he doesn't meet her. There's a couple scenes where like she's kind of fighting from the shadows, so he doesn't really realize any of this. He's just kind of like. He's the priest the priest is like coming to attack him is like moments away, and she kind of like grabs it from behind or whatever. So Claudio, just like as an idiot, is just walking to a bar to play cards, and we see him. There's this whole thing where he's like pretending to be drunk so that he can grift all of the locals out of their money. And like, meanwhile, he's like yelling with the apparition of his father is like, "This is what you've turned into. This is what you're doing. Like, this is the grift, right?" He's like, "Shut up, Dad!" And the guy's like, "What? You
don't know me."
Yeah, you're not my real dad. Like that thing. Like, what do you know? It's great. So he's tricking all of these guys, all these idiots, the local yokels, and he's like winning all their money. And Al shows up, the guy with the brain. You remember him?
Yep.
So Al is hearing just in time. Let me take that again. Al shows up just in time to hear Claudio trying to buy passage off the planet. So like at one point, Claudio's like, "Hey, I will play you for your ship," or something. So Al hears that and challenges Claudio to a game for his ship, which is called the Camper Valorium. which is a very good name for a ship.
Yes.
Like, let me be clear.
Sure.
So this happens. I feel very strongly about that. So this happens. Claudio loses and then actually gets drunk for real outside of the bar, and all the while like actually yelling at his ghost father, like, "Shut up! You don't know me!" Like, it's again very good.
All the things we wanted to yell to our dad in 2002. Yeah.
It's 2003. 2003 is when the album came out.
Okay.
It's hard to say when this was written. So this is all playing out. We kind of, again, the books cut back and forth a lot. I'm trying to save you guys from like the whiplash of whatever. But there's a lot of different scenes with Cecil at the slave camp reading the Book of Gonsgrad, which remember is the prophecy, the big scary prophecy.
Okay.
So I'm going to read you the passage that gets repeated a couple times, and this is like the most important part of the thing. The Lord God will watch his creations, and he will find them good to look upon in all their endeavors, unless mankind tempers with God's design. In the face of such defacement, the Lord God will send his ultimate judge, known as the crowing. So pause. So a couple things to pull from here. God created the heaven's fence. This is where it really gets into the Christianity, Western religion allegories. So, and if you temper with God's design, i.e. Wilhelm Ryan, has gone against the nature of God, which is mage, prize, and humans, Lord God will send his ultimate judge, the crowing. So this is what Wilhelm Ryan fears, and this is what everybody like is waiting for, the crowing. So the next passage. Beware the coming of the crowing, for then the end of the worlds may be at hand. His arrival will not be unheralded. Instead, it will be presaged by the coming of the visual, a being of such immense power, capable of manipulating the very world around it.
This is the word of Gonsgrad for the people of Gonsgrad.
I read a lot of the adolescent teen series Left Behind when I was in high school.
Wow, yeah.
A lot of it. And like, you know, growing up in a very religious home, like I'm very familiar, or at least pretty familiar with Revelations. Starting to get some Revelations vibes.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. If Revelations was an episode of Dragon Ball Z.
Oh man. And this was like you kind of hinted at.
This was right in the time
when like Revelations fiction was popular, was very big. Yeah.
Yep.
Kirk Cameron's Left Behind came out in 2000. So
there it is.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Did Kirk Cameron write Left Behind?
I don't think. Well, he might have. He's at least
he starred in it. Left Behind was written in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
Well, I meant like
because I also read them. That's why I know that.
Gotcha. I don't know if he. I mean, he definitely starred in it. I was wondering if he also got like directing credit.
He did. I think so. He was the main character in the like made for TV movie, not the Nick Cage one. There was a made for TV movie.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Anyway, Mayo and the Red Army are chasing the Grail Arbor to Silent Earth 3, and the two sides prepare for battle. And this is the first, like, there are two, like, climactic epic battles. This is the first one. So, during the fight, we get to see the power of the iRobots, which are basically just X-Men. Sizer hulks out, kind of like Coheed did, and just turns into this big old meat monster, and you see him in Image 25.
Yeah.
He is a meat monster.
He is a meat monster.
He's pretty great, and he's like the whole time he's like, "I'm doing this for you, Dad." Like, maybe you'll love me now.
He's got a really defined belly button hole.
Yeah, I have questions about the belly button hole.
He does.
Well, he's like a test tube baby, so that's where the
test tube
that's
baby.
where the test scroll back up to. I don't know, whatever picture.
21?
21.
Yeah, I would believe that's
20.
his test tube hole.
20.
I get that.
Image 20.
It's his cloaca. Everyone just needs to get off him.
There's two more iRobots that don't matter. They're Hack, who also has arm blades, kind of like Coheed, and then Many, who can multiply herself, but like in smaller duplicates and do like Ant-Man shit. They both die, so don't worry about them.
All right.
So this is the second time I've thought it. Sizer and Coheed, they're like their attack forms or whatever both look like alternate drawings of like Doomsday from DC.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You know,
My closest allegory was Abomination, but I think that's better.
Like if you showed me these out of context, I would have been like, "Oh, that's a Doomsday from one of the iterations of Superman." They're very like the bones jutting out, yeah.
He looks super rad. I love Sizer. I think he's like a stupid cool character. And the whole time he's just got, I love you, Dad. Inferno's like,
I'm imagining like that voice coming out of this.
Oh, totally.
like cracking.
He is 5 years old, to be clear.
All right. Yeah.
And then, of course, Chase, the little girl, is the most powerful because, of course, she is. If you haven't guessed already, she's the visual.
Oh.
So her whole thing, it's a little unclear. I think the vibe is she can absorb energy and like counter it back tenfold. So like kind of like a rogue, but like super power rogue or super charged rogue.
Sebastian Shaw.
Kevin
Yes.
Bacon's character in X-Men First Class. Yeah.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, Sebastian Shaw. That's what she does. She's Image 26. So there's a scene with like, sorry. Throat's really dry. There's a scene with Chase being surrounded by soldiers, and basically she just creates like a little energy cloud and then like explodes, and all of the soldiers are just dead with like shards of rock and stuff impaling them.
Nice.
So it's something with like absorbing energy is what she does. Very cool. Now, despite all of this power, Inferno's forces still can't stand up to the Red Army. So we again, like the resistance at this point is just L after L after L. Like they're getting fucking thrown around. I told you Hack and many the other two iRobots just get absolutely deleted, and along with most of the other red shirt resistance members, it don't matter. But at the last second, the Prize show up again because the Prize are our saving grace. Yep,
Quite literally.
Quite literally. And they start this thing where they go to Chase and they channel their energy into Chase. Now, the Prize are made up of this like cosmic energy, this cosmic keywork energy that's the MacGuffin of this universe. So by absorbing their keywork energy, Chase basically propels it back at them and is able to like supercharge them. Because like the hand wavy exposition that the story gives you is the Prize are just like they are completely made up of cosmic keywork energy insofar as they don't reproduce, they literally like copy themselves with like by releasing their cosmic energy.
That is not far off from like Catholic canon of what angels actually are.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
This image has so much unnecessary cleavage.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
It was
yeah, it
2003,
really does.
Todd.
Every single prize is angled in such a way where cleavage is on
There's
the main
every
display here.
Every prize is naked. There's a lot of There's a lot of boobies. There's a lot of boobles. A lot of prize boobles. That's Image 27, by the way. So this is Chase basically like 3D printing Prize.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So by she like charges them until one copies, and then like
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
gotcha.
And then they make a big old triangle that looks just like Heaven's Fence. Because of course they do.
and then all the Coheed and Cambria fans are like, it's the thing again that's on the albums. And yeah.
So the Prize, now having been 3D printed, fight back against the Red Army and succeed in taking down Wilhelm Ryan. So they actually like there's a Prize that like gets on, he goes up to him and then like cuts him down, and then he surrenders. And he's like, I'm done, we're out. So everyone is like, we did it, we're hooray, rejoice. The resistance takes him in. All the other Red Army is like retreats, like the day is won. The rest of Heaven's Fence is overjoyed that the war is over. Wilhelm Ryan is gone. His tyranny is done. Inferno leads there is a council, because there's always a council. So Infernal
Ain't that the
agrees,
truth?
right? Inferno convinces the council to hold a trial for Wilhelm Ryan, not expecting that he's not going to be tried as guilty, but they want to show the worlds that Ryan is just another guy. Wilhelm Ryan's whole thing is like, I am God. I will be God. I will replace God.
Yeah.
And again, like I say Thanos, because that's what he wants to be. He wants to be God. All of the Bible allegories there. So Inferno's thing is like, no, he is just like us, and we will try him like he is one of us. In the trial, Inferno charges Wilhelm Ryan with like thousands of charges. They go through all the way back to his entire life, back to when he did a genocide on the whole mage race. Ryan is just sitting there smiling smugly because he's an evil guy. They sentence him to death. So in Image 28, this is like him being tried, which is again. Show me if you've seen this imagery before.
Yeah.
and in a very metal sentencing, they basically like put him in a molecular oven, and they like melt his atoms. So in Image 29, this is Wilhelm Ryan getting like molecularly deconstructed.
Oh, wow.
It looks really fucking cool, too.
It's so good.
It
It's
does
really awesome.
It does
Yeah.
look cool and good.
I really like it.
like. No, normal death is not the. We can't just kill this guy. We have to bake his atoms in a molecular oven.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's very silly. And then, like, for listeners who can't see it, like, you see Inferno and a little side panel pulling a bar down, going, "Goodbye, Ryan." And then it's like a whole page of like this like orange rays coming out of Wilhelm Ryan's eyes, and he's just like he's dripping. He looks like Ghost Rider, but like before he's like while he's transforming. It's so cool.
I also want to read the first line from one of these blurbs in this comic panel that says, "They say that the smell was horrendous."
Yeah,
Good.
So that's in reminder. That's Claudio telling Apollo the dog.
Yep.
Who I'm sure is invested.
Absolutely.
Very.
Okay, so I didn't write this down. There's a really good bit in with this narrative bit. So Claudio's talking to Apollo, and Claudio is like, he's pontificating to Apollo, and he's like, "You probably don't even know like what God is, or you've never heard the name Wilhelm Ryan." And then like he pauses, and like the dog like goes "arf," and you see in the dog's eye, like there's like 1,000-yard stare. You see the reflection of Wilhelm Ryan in the dog's eye, like implying that the mention of Wilhelm Ryan is enough to scare even an animal.
All right.
Fantastic.
Whatever.
Absolutely amazing.
So good. So we see, hey guys, what's Mayo doing? Let's check in on Mayo. So Mayo's all like confident that Wilhelm Ryan's gonna be just fine. It's just like moving on being a sadist. To that end, he captures Sizer, the meat monster, and decides to torture him and chop his body up with a chainsaw.
All right.
So,
Of course.
yeah, because he's a sadist. So we check in on Rotterdam and Claudio. Now, so at this point, like the whole, the town's gone crazy. Like everyone's losing their minds.
Goddardam.
Yeah. Oh, what did I say? Rotterdam?
You
Goddardam? I don't remember what it's called.
Notre Dame. We'll get there.
Notre Dame. Who cares? It's garbage town. Claudio is arguing with his ghost dad about destiny and responsibility and other Lion King shit. And then that priest attacks again. But this time, everyone has made themselves known. So Ambelina is there in point blank in view, and they finally meet. And Ambelina says, like, "You are the chosen one." She's Nala talking to Simba, and Simba's, looking at the reflection of his father, right?
Yeah.
You got to come home to Pride Rock, Claudio. A quick cut to Al. Remember Al? Cut to Al.
Tried to forget him.
Remember Al's a psychopath. Well, we see Al talking to a woman who's hanging from a meat hook.
Nope.
As one does.
Yep.
Later, we see him asking around town, asking about Claudio, because now he's put it together that Ryan's most wanted special boy is the same special boy that he won that card game against. So he's got his sights set on Claudio as well. Claudio tells Ambelina the war is over, Ryan is gone, there's no need for prophecy or special boys or anything like that. Ambelina says that's not the case, Ryan will come again. So they walk around town, they're arguing about destiny and prophecy, and they find the chopped up remains of Sizer. Now remember, Sizer is a robot, an iRobot, so even though like Coheed and Cambria are dead, like die like people, Josephine died like people. Sizer doesn't, and they just, so basically, like, Claudio takes him back to his hovel. Well, Claudio sees this man who's been cut up into remains and says, I can rebuild him.
I have the technology.
They white vision his ass back together.
They white vision his ass back together. Also, Claudio lives in, like, this hovel in the sewer, and it's never set up that Claudio has any engineering skill or any kind of mechanical skill whatsoever, but he just does this. He's a special boy. So, back at the trial, Wilhelm Ryan has been molecularly melted. Inferno continues this side story where he's struggling with the idea of parenthood, that he is somehow connected to Sizer and Chase. He's like, where's Sizer? And someone says, we can't find him. He's like, oh, damn. During this whole thing, it's revealed that Wilhelm Ryan's body disappeared in transit. Uh-oh.
Oh no!
Body. What's left after you molecularly melt a body? What do you mean a body?
Also, who lost that? What intern messed that one up?
It's the same guy who misplaced JFK's brain.
So this is really good. All right, so image 30. Don't look at it yet, but for image 30, I'm going to set up the scene. So we cut to House Atlantic, which is the very cool prog rock castle that Ryan lives in. Some like who cares scientist is overseeing this like very sci-fi contraption, which also looks like the machine that Gruntilda uses in Banjo-Kazooie.
Good.
But that's fine. The machine kind of like sputters and pops and explodes, and out comes a very alive Wilhelm Ryan, who says Wilhelm Ryan is risen, and reveals that his plan all along was to convince people that he is God. And this is image 30.
Okay.
Wow.
Great.
Also, it's great that he comes out in a towel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though like his whole body is just like boils and veins.
Yeah, boils and veins, like, you know, we had that whole page of angel cleavage before, but but can't
show
hang
any
dongs.
Yeah.
Can't show any dongs. It's 2003. Can't show any dongs.
Isolate the readers.
So Wilhelm Ryan is back. And that's different. So we cut back to Shiloh's 10, Goddard Dam, and Claudio is rebuilding Sizer, like I said. While he's doing that, the city is attacked by this band of mutant prog rock zombies called the Narrows, and this is image 31.
Hey, I like the Narrows a lot. Are we going to get more of them?
Not really.
Bummer.
They're just kind of like a weird plot device, but the art rules so hard on these.
It so does.
Why is the man in the back on a horse with a revolver and a cowboy hat?
Matt, do you just want to paint the picture to the readers or to the listeners what this is?
Yeah, I mean, like, you've got the first Ghost Rider in the very back, and then all of these zombies are wearing skin masks, and they all kind of look like different ways one might tie a diaper. Like, you've got a shredder looking guy in the back, you've got this really like veiny diamond mouth in the front, this guy's got hooks holding his lips back. I mean, this is like, so if you're not in the same small niche communities that I am, and you've never been to a haunted house convention where people sell haunted house props in vendor booths, this is what vendor booths at haunted house conventions look like.
I'm not surprised by that. It looks like someone who doesn't know anything about like the rave scene or the punk scene making a movie in this time period cast this page. Like,
everyone either has a lot of piercings or metal chains around their arm or body, or a metal arm. And also a person's being thrown. Just thrown.
If Guillermo del Toro directed a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, these would be the villains.
This is it. That's it.
Also, middle right side under the stairs. I'm pretty sure Baraka is there. That's Baraka for sure.
That is Baraka from Street Fighter.
Are we done?
Really good.
Did we
I
run?
think
Did we wear the
awesome.
bit out?
This is definitely like one of my favorite panels in the entire comic. It's so good.
Isn't it Blanca?
Oh yeah,
you're
Baraka
right.
is Mortal Kombat. Thank you.
You got me. Thanks.
Blanca
I was like,
from
there shouldn't
Street
be an
Fighter.
R there. We got it. It's everyone knew.
And unfortunately, what sucks is like the Narrows is such a small part of the story. Really, the really reason why the Narrows or even matter is that kind of funnels Al down into the sewers. So like Al is kind of running and fights off a couple, and because he's got all these like hidden blades and shit, because he's a psychopath or whatever. So Al fights them off and escapes down to the sewer, where he runs into Claudio and Ambelina. And then the three of them team up and are fighting off the Prague zombies with the help of a new and improved Sizer in Image 32. So Sizer's back, our meat boy, our super meat
Our
boy.
restitched meat boy.
And Sizer fights the Narrows. And this is really funny because Sizer in like full meat monster mode is looking at Claudio and he's like, if I do this, will you? Are you proud of me? And Claudio's like, yeah, sure, I'm proud of you, bud. He's like, yeah.
Wow.
Oh boy.
It's great. Claudio starts to believe in himself with the power of his new friends, and the real world interpretation of his self-love is the fact that he can now make Sue Storm energy shields with his green magic. He's got green magic now.
Oh, okay.
Question back about Sizer and his cloaca. It now looks like it's a crotch hole and not a navel. And
Yeah,
it's a little low to be
a flew south.
yeah,
I think we can blame Claudio for that.
feels right.
So Wilhelm Ryan has now completed his transformation to Thanos in Image 33, and he reveals that he has rebuilt Admiral Crom. Remember Admiral Crom, the guy that gets like fucking wasted from Monstar?
Boba Fett?
He rehooks Admiral Crom, but like just his torso and head to like he hot wires him to the mainframe of House Atlantic, and like he speaks in like computer talk. So Admiral Crom is now like the Jarvis of House Atlantic.
I love that.
Great.
It's so
That
great.
rules.
Yeah, it does. It super does. And then we have an awesome picture of House Atlantic with like the lightning crashing behind it.
Yep.
Very cool.
I was looking for a picture of it. That is a prog rock-ass castle.
Is this Inferno's very veiny forehead talking to Ryan Wilhelm in this picture?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The art in Keeping Secrets is so much better than in Second Stage. Especially
really
the back
is.
half.
Yeah.
They definitely the front half of it has some weird, like they give too much detail on some of the heads. But the back half is like somebody else. There's like a different artist in every volume or every couple volumes. That's why the art is like very sporadic. The art in the back half of In Keeping Secrets is excellent. So I've got a lot of pictures here. Let's see here. Sorry, I lost my place. Okay, so Al offers Claudio and Ambelina passage on his ship, the Camper of Lorium, to get out to escape Gotterdam. Claudio says, yes, but first we have a pit stop to make. And they head back to the slave camp to find Cecil. They're going to pick up Cecil. But they find that so remember the Red Army was like sacrificing all the aliens.
Using people as fuel.
Yeah,
Yes.
using people as fuel. Well, Wilhelm Ryan is gone, so as far as they think. And they just said, fuck it. They just were lining up people and throwing them in because they're like, we're done. We're getting off this shit rock. We're just going to throw everyone in
planet.
and leave.
Yeah.
This literal garbage planet. So they arrive to see this just like giant line of aliens being thrown into this reactor one by one. And the three of them do some cool Avengers shit, and they all fight off the soldiers. Claudio is like searching wildly for his old friend Cecil. He finds him. Cecil's like in a crowd. He's like, I'm here, Claudio. And Claudio's like, I'll find you. And then he like accidentally discharges his new green magic and like blasts Cecil into the reactor by accident.
Oh no.
That's Image 34. He's like, get away. He's got Sue Storm powers. And everyone's like, Claudio, be careful. And then it knocks Cecil into the reactor.
Aw.
Oh, beans.
Cecil.
Yeah. Is it? It's Cecil, right? It's not Cecil.
I've
how you
heard-
say that
Are
name?
you
I've heard
asking
both.
us?
It could be either, but
asking.
I would say Cecil.
I've
Well, like
heard
that
both.
name is okay.
Yeah, I've heard both.
Okay. There is a Cecil, PA, near where I grew up, and I always used to say Cecil, and I heard it pronounced Cecil, so I assumed that was I was always wrong.
It might be a case of like depending on what side of the Atlantic you're on.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
We're on the
use one or
favor side of the Atlantic.
Nah.
He said the thing, guys.
He did it.
Give him a clap. Give him a couple claps. So Claudio, instead of like mourning his friend, just says fuck it and leaps in after him. To be clear, he doesn't save Cecil at all. But what he does do is cause an even bigger explosion. So
Yeah.
all of the energy powering House Atlantic now gets redirected through Claudio's special boy veins.
Ooh.
And he gets super powered up. So now with another death on his conscience and a fuck ton of cosmic energy in his body, Claudio in Image 35 is finally ready to be the Crowing. And that's him as Jesus wearing denim jeans.
Oh,
Did
I was
his-
expecting a much more like
too.
dramatic picture.
Did his jeans survive the reactor explosion?
Actually, perfectly.
His jeans and his trench coat, Todd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His trench coat blowing in the wind in the dust behind him, and Ambelina carrying the dead body of Sizer is like, good,
Right.
you're ready.
Good.
So the team, the new friends, head back to the camper Valorium to head to House Atlantic. They're going to go confront Ryan and this. But Ambelina finds Al's secret meat locker full of bodies. Oh, right. Because Al's a psychopath killer. So Al reveals that he was just trying to kidnap them, to take them to Ryan to get the bounty. He tries to paralyze her with some ring gizmo. Well, he does paralyze her. Then he tries to paralyze Claudio as well, but it doesn't have enough charges or something. He has to wait like a long rest for more charges to reset. So Claudio just instead beats his ass with cosmic energy. And then the two of them fight, and he like sticks a dagger. He tries to attack him with a dagger, but like the dagger redirects and goes into the ship's navigation panel, which of course like immediately causes it to overheat and then spin out of control and like head and just kind of like out of control on a collision course straight for House Atlantic. So they're heading there.
It's all coming to a head.
So Claudio, Al, Sizer, and Sizer's not dead. Sorry, Sizer and Ambelina all by one like eject themselves from the ship and just kind of like wind up on the ground outside of House Atlantic. Also, Inferno's there. Hi, Inferno. Inferno and his troops, along with the prize, are all there. So everyone's there. We're at House Atlantic. We're ready to fucking go. This is like the final showdown with Frieza. Like it's go time, baby. And this is when we see the true power of House Atlantic. Ryan flips on some weapon to reveal. Oh, actually, so first Ryan flips on this like laser weapon that fries like a mass of prize, and then he turns on the Admiral Crom button and turns House Atlantic into a giant kaiju. And that's Image 36.
Fuck yeah.
Why is the ultimate power of the thing always a giant laser or a kaiju?
Meanwhile, Inferno, Sizer, and Ambelina are all fighting their own battles, trying to hold off the Red Army and the priests. This is an image of Ambelina just like slicing through or gutting a fucking Constantine priest. It looks like another Bloodborne monster.
That has an eyeball for a penis.
Yeah,
Super does.
it does.
Didn't feel like that was necessary in the artwork, but
Yeah.
You know.
So Claudio's final like you can become a Super Saiyan moment is let me back up. Okay, so everyone is watching the kaiju thing happen, and somehow Al is like alive despite the fact he just like fell from a ship from like thousands of feet up. He stabs Claudio in the back and like nearly kills him and nearly kills Claudio, and Claudio's like writhing on the ground, and then he's got Chase who's there too because Inferno is there. So he's like holding Chase. He's got like a knife to her throat. And Claudio, in like a real like Super Saiyan moment, he sees the ghost of his dead father and his dead mother, Cambria. And she tells him, "You can do it, Claudio. Just tap into my abilities." So he does that, and his eyes turn green, and he realizes that he can also have Jean Grey powers, and that he now has the power. He now has the power to cast command on people. So he looks at Al and he says, "No," and he turns Al into his hypnosis bodyguard in the image 838.
I hate this. Like, there are parts like you said, you have to buy in, and there's moments you're like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like, I'm in it. I hate this.
A good eye sniper.
All right, keep going.
I shoot, you run.
This scene looks a lot like Frank Castle, Cosmic Ghost Rider, stopping regular Frank Castle from killing baby Thanos.
Yeah.
And I know that's a weird pull, but like I've seen this picture before.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Yep.
We've talked about that on the show before, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
In the Ghost Rider.
That's right.
In the Ghost Rider commissioned episode.
Because he wears Ghost Rider and a little baby Bjorn.
Thanos is in the baby Bjorn.
That's what I meant. Yeah, baby Thanos is in a little baby Bjorn.
So remember, I said Chase is the visual. So once Claudio saves Chase from Al, the two join hands and go Super Saiyan. Now remember that Chase can channel energy into others, so now she is basically creating a god.
Yeah.
This is in image 37. I say it's definitely, like, to me, I think Super Saiyan, but like if you don't know the DBZ reference, think like Sonic Adventure 2 at the end when Sonic and Shadow both use the power of the Chaos Emeralds to turn into Super Shadow and Super
much
Sonic.
More relatable example than Dragon Ball Z, for sure.
I would argue for our audience, maybe. Kyle, okay.
Got him!
Listen, I have read a lot of this shit. I spent 3 days fucking looking through, digesting every single Coheed and Cambria song for your stupid face. So fuck you, Kyle. Fuck you, I love you. Fair enough.
That's fair. I deserved that.
We didn't even talk about the text in this last panel, the one photo.
Why don't you read it?
Yeah, so Claudio, who got stabbed by a knife that looks like it would just ruin your whole day. Chase says, "That's a vicious wound. Are you going to be okay?" And Claudio opens up his trench coat, which his trench coat didn't get cut, even though his entire shirt did. And he says, "I'm fine, Chase." No, it's got to be a cooler voice. "I'm fine, Chase. I refuse to let the wound stop me. And so there is no wound." And then there's no wound on his chest.
Yeah,
he's a Scientologist.
He has Jean Grey god powers.
He's got something.
No, that's Scientology. That's what Scientology is. It's just you believe that you're not hurt, and you're not hurt.
Oh,
He's
God.
a Scientologist. Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah, it's cool. Anyway, yeah, so
Cool's
Chase and
not the word I
Claudio...
would use, but it's something.
Neat. Chase and Claudio then collect their spirit bomb energy, and then while they're doing that, Ambelina and Inferno are kind of leading the rest of the troops in a retreat while because they, the House Atlantic turned into a giant kaiju, and Claudio's kind of like powering up, right? So everyone's escaping. Claudio creates this massive energy shield that protects the rest of the resistance fighters from the onslaught of House Atlantic. And then he collects that energy, and in an even cooler moment, he redirects that back in one giant Kamehameha wave in image 40 here.
Now, Andrew,
Sick.
I don't quite know what a Kamehameha wave is. Could you put that in Sonic Adventure 2 terms for me?
So, Kyle, I'm glad you asked.
Oh, that's so good.
It's like when Live and Learn is playing at the end of Sonic Adventure 2, and you have to go and charge the little boils on the big dragon boss at the end of it and to make it explode.
Thank you. That makes so much more sense to me now.
Oh, man.
Stupid.
Fuck. I hate us. Oh, God. So everybody, Inferno, Ambelina, Claudio, the iRobots, the Prize, they all successfully escape Star 4. Because this is where House Atlantic was on Star 4, which is like the center of the fence. So epilogue. Claudio's back talking to Apollo. He's summing up the whole story, saying like he finally accepts his destiny and the place in the universe. He is Neo, basically. And the last line is Claudio telling the dog, "Your name is 41," and I want us all to say this together. I want us all to say this together.
I'm
Todd,
going to.
Todd, 3,
I'm gonna
2.
wait. Time out. I want you to know, Todd Thomas, edit this episode, and I'm not syncing this. I will not sync it.
All right. Claudio looks at the dog and says, with green fire in his eyes, he says, "Good Apollo, I'm burning star 4."
The power of friendship.
That's the next.
That's the next one. Yep. So the third and fourth studio albums from Coheed and Cambria are called Good Apollo, I'm Burning Star 4, Volume 1 and Volume 2.
Yep. Okay. Got it.
So that's our Return of the Jedi.
Like, and I'll say it here so I don't have to say it later. Legitimately, there's been parts of the story where I'm like, that's pretty cool. I'm good with that. But then they're like, well, are you? Because guess what we're about to do?
All right. So that's the story. We're gonna go through the album, and then I promise we'll be done. Okay. So the album. I really like this album. This is a great album. If you're interested in getting into Coheed and Cambria and you never want to read Amory Wars, because listen to this album first. This is a great introduction to their work. Excuse me. Okay. First track of the album is called Ring and Return. Just like the last album, the first track is an instrumental. It also repeats that time passage melody to show that time has passed. There are a couple of nods to like the narrative framing device. The song starts with a phone ringing and a woman saying hello, and that is him talking to him. He's like, there's a point where he's calling Nuo and he's not responding. And then it ends with a voice saying, "Hello, Apollo, where should I begin?" It's the framing device.
Nice.
So the first real track is probably like IMO, like one of my favorites of all time. It's just In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3. So this is the big showdown. This is covering the period of time like underwater when they find the Grail Arbor through the showdown on Silent Earth, obviously Silent Earth 3. So this is the chorus references both sides of the battle. So the Red Army is like using their Voltron ships. Man your own jackhammer. Man your battle stations. That's the song. We'll have you dead pretty soon. Sincerely written from my brother's blood machine. Man your battle station. We'll have you pretty home pretty soon. And then that comes back at the end of the song. That's like a call and response to kind of like end out. So it's again referencing the troops arriving on Silent Earth. We have a part in this. There's a couple of movements in this song. This is not like that progressive. The next album is the most prog rocky, but there's a couple like specific movements. There's a bridge part where the line is, "For you, I'd do anything just to make you happy. Hear you tell me that you're proud of me. For them, I'll kill anything. Cut the throats of babies for them. Break their hearts, for they were them waiting for you to say, I love you too." And that's Sizer talking to Inferno. Another line, her favorite, the one they call the vision that bears the gift. That's Chase. And then I just a note here. Like again, I love the song. This is the one I mentioned earlier, where where when I was in the audience, I was like, I've never screamed louder. Like, man, your own jackhammers! Like I was fucking idiot. I loved it.
Was this the one you shared with us earlier today?
Yeah.
Because it was rad.
Yeah.
That was real.
Yeah,
good.
it's a great song. It's a really good song.
I would also say that like this is, you go to a concert and you see a band and they save their top 3 songs on Spotify for the encore, but there's one song near the end of their set that's like the big one.
Yeah.
This is the big one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They play this live a lot for that reason. The next track, Cuts Marked in the March of Men. This is continuing where the last one leaves off. So this is the ending of the battle on Silent Earth. This is the part where Chase is supercharging the prize. So the line here from Inferno's Resistance, in your last hour stand, you'll notice the one that you had loved in dreams is here among the others. Chase, it's you I want. Then why should I spend any more time in a world that's going to end pretty soon? This comm link's lost its frequency, and I feel that we're coming home short. Here, take me instead. I'd rather not see her off alone. So that's Inferno. And then there's at the end of the song is this bridge that's repeating, "Tonight we form, tonight we form, tonight we form," and then that starts the instrumental. There's like a guitar solo. That's the prize multiplying themselves and 3D printing themselves. Next track is called "Three Evils" in parentheses embodied in love and shadow, and this one is kind of depicting the trial of Wilhelm Ryan, and the evils are referring to the evils of the Red Army. So the line, "A cautious ear to the mouth of your confession. Think of all the things we put him through. In the face of his God, would he tell the truth?" So this is Inferno, like talking to the council and considering the value of actually putting Wilhelm Ryan on trial. "Sever the limbs off his torso in sleep and burn what remains so the world may now see. No longer will we wait for your answers." So that's the council and then the general population's opinion of Ryan during the trial. Meanwhile, Mayo is slicing up Sizer with a chainsaw. "Slowly discarded were the remains of his lonely youth. Among the alley where the dwellers scarce to notice. Picture a young boy in pieces and streets with leveled malfunctions. No name to be called Redeemer." And then the song ends with this refrain: "Dear my friends, in the time we spent forever, after, beyond this, when will our nightmare ever end? Pull the trigger and the nightmare stops." And it repeats, "Pull the trigger and the nightmare stops. Pull the trigger and the nightmare stops." Yeah, it's cool. Okay, so then the next song is "The Crowing," which, like, again, this is our special boy, The Crowing, Claudio. This is when he finally meets his silent protector, Ambelina. So this is like a back and forth song. There's a couple like mini movements to this one too. This is like, you can tell this is when they're experimenting with like more, kind of like weird prog rocky shit.
Yeah.
I wish not to play. So this is the first line or the first verse. "I wish not to play part in it. A heart stained in hate, a feeling I fear will play circles." So Claudio originally wants no part in this. He starts considering his place in the world. "Would I walk through the door, shedding the light of all life? With the rise and reform, would I come as before?" Meanwhile, you remember Ambelina is just kind of like busting priests left and right. "I fought the decisions that call and lost my part as the relevant piece in this. I will come reformed. In short, for the murders of those I court, I bless the hour that holds your fall. Sincerely, I will kill you all." Then finally, at the end of the song, Claudio decides to team up with Ambelina. "I will call you out from shelter, burn your wings, you'll know no better. I will call you out from shelter, burn your wings, and learn their letters. Dear Ambelina, the prize wishes you to watch over me." And that's like, again, that's the repetitive line. "Dear Ambelina, the prize wishes you." And then that kind of like echoes out, and the song fades out.
Not a single one of these sounds like a song lyric. Not a single one.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And I want to ask this now because I'm going to forget. Andrew, if you had to guess, of the fan base, what percentage is aware of the context?
If I had to guess, 15%.
Okay.
Maybe 20.
I was just curious. I figured.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to ask that question.
I've asked because I've asked at shows. I'm always curious. Like, I was standing next to people and they'd be like, "Oh, this is cool," and like some people are really into it and some people aren't. What
do you think about the allegory? The allegories in the story to Claudio.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so the first of the two major singles on this album, I mentioned earlier, "Blood Red Summer." Here's the thing about the singles. They're singles. They're meant to be played on the radio.
Yeah.
They don't have any. They really don't have any nods to the song. "Blood Red Summer" is just kind of a fun song. It technically takes place in between. Like in the canon, it would take place like when the Narrows attack, or right before when the Narrows attack, when they're still like Wilhelm Ryan is dead. So you could argue like "Blood Red Summer" might refer to like the summer of George. Like, it's like everyone's happy. It's like, they're doing whatever they want in the summer. But there is a line at the end that says, "What did I do to deserve this?" And I think that could be referencing when Sizer is like in pieces sitting in the junkyard, but that's only speculation. Still a good tune. I like it a lot. Okay, so this is the first like multiple act piece in the album. A couple of the albums do this. The Camper Valorium 1, 2, and 3. These are 3 separate tracks. Camper Valorium obviously is Al's ship. So this is referring to all of the time that Claudio, Ambelina, and Al are together. So starting off with the Narrows attack in the sewer, to them getting to the slave town or slave camp, and Claudio exploding the reactor, to them landing at House Atlantic. Cool.
Cool.
The songs, I don't know what the fuck they have to do with anything. No idea. Camper Valorium 1 is called Faint of Hearts. This is hard to say. There's a couple lines. There's a line that I think might be Claudio patching up Sizer, saying, did somebody take your tongue in worries of the words that you couldn't say if they could have saved them from?
Sure.
I know. It makes sense for your music. And then there's a repetitive coo-coo-ca-choo throughout the song that is actually referencing when Claudio like busts into the bar. He's waving his arms saying coo-coo-ca-choo because he's the crowing, and that was like a fun scene transition.
Wait. When was Arrested Development popular?
Because 2003.
Because they did all of the impressions of chickens wrong.
Yeah, it was 2003. So.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's probably a good call.
You know, and I wouldn't put it past someone on the writing staff of Arrested Development to be a big Coheed and Cambria.
Or vice versa.
I'm not sure which chicken which wrongly quoted chicken laid the egg.
I think the nod. So there's like a scene transition when someone is talking about Claudio as the crowing, and then the scene transition is him doing coo-coo-ca-choo like a crow. It's like a
I mean, and coo-coo-ca-choo,
not so subtle nod to that, but
coo-coo-ca-choo has been like shorthand for nonsense since I Am the Walrus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Camper Valorium 2, Back End of Forever. Guys, I gotta tell you, I have no idea. This one's about like an ex-girlfriend. Like, it has nothing to do, absolutely nothing to do with it. I overheard that you are unhappy too, misleading trust into a relationship that makes no sense. Over and out, Connecticut.
Great.
Cool.
That was me throwing my arms up. This isn't love. They're on the back end of forever. I wish I would never hurt again. I wish I would never hurt again. That could reflect what Claudio, like when Claudio knocks his friend into the thing and he's like, fuck everything. And when he accepts his green power, I guess, like it's the vibe or whatever, but it's hard to say. Camper Valorium 3, Al the Killer. What do you think this is about?
It's
Jar Jar
obviously
Binks.
About Jar Jar Binks.
Yep, Al is revealed to be a crazy psychopath murderer. Who'd have thought? When I kill her, I'll have her. In parentheses, dance upon the graves of the dead upon your name. Die white girls, die white girls. No.
Yikes.
All right.
Kind of surprised that this album didn't get like banned from my elementary school, and I heard about it a whole bunch because of that line.
It's because it's inscrutable.
Yeah.
You have to dive so deep to understand any of the misogyny in this. Like, it is not easy. You have to really work hard to be offended by this. All right. Here we go. Favorite House Atlantic, baby. Here we are. 15 pages of notes later, and we're finally talking about the song. Here's the bad news. As much as I want the line "Good Eye Sniper" to be referencing some troop yelling like "Good Eye Sniper," it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Like, it has nothing to do with anything. It's a single. What I've got, the closest thing I have is the vibe of the song. Like, right, it's like na 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 na. Like, you can see like a giant mech riding out of the ocean, you know.
Yeah.
So like it's the vibe. The second verse, I've always thought before I knew the story of this, I knew that they were like running from something, because the second verse is "Run quick, they're behind us. Didn't think we'd ever make it this close to safety in one piece. Now you want to kill me in the act of what could maybe save us from sleep and what we are." So I think that's probably referencing Claudio kind of bubbling up everybody and ushering them out as they're kind of retreating from Robo House Atlantic. It's called a Favor House Atlantic. I think that's the idea. It's like it's turning into a mech, but
Yeah.
I'm taking that as a W. There is a cool Easter egg. I never knew this. I've heard this song 1,000 times in my life, and I never noticed there is a weird. There's kind of like a weird backwards melody at the end of the song, and that's that time passage melody playing backwards.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Okay, second and last track is called "The Light in the Glass." I like this track a lot. It's kind of like a ballad. It's a much slower song. This was my cell phone ringback tone for a long time, just to really date this, you know. Yep. So we're back with Claudio and Apollo outside of Nuo's house. Remember, this is the narrative thing. So this is the end of the thing. This is like a sad, reflective ballad. One of the lines: "Did I bother telling you this with the words that cross teeth and jump lips? A poor choice of words in wanting to tell you anything, but words don't come with ease. They're forever my hurt. I'll lay awake for a while. I'll leave the light on a while." So I think like this is him kind of like talking to Nuo and like I regret everything that I've done or whatever. Like there's also this whole thing with like a father and a brother and a family that died. I don't know. It has nothing to do with the story. Not in the song, but apparently in the original album booklet, the line "My dearest Apollo, I'll be burning star 4" appears at the end. And then the song ends with this slick guitar solo over top of the refrain, "Pray for us all. Pray for us all. Pray for us all." And then that time passage melody plays again to signify the end of it. We got a hidden track. It's called 2113, and it also makes no sense. According to the wiki, this song is supposedly tying back Time Consumer, which is the first track on Second Stage Turbine Blade, and iRobot, which is the hidden track off of the first album. I can't make head. I spent a lot of time trying to piece this one together. I really couldn't. There's a line: "When I fall asleep, your face is all I see. Dear Mama, I love. Please, Mom, they're coming for me. Please, Mom, run, lock your door. They're coming for ... That could be like one of the Kilgannon kids. It could be Sizer and Chase. It's hard to say. So yeah, that's In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3. And with that is our entire coverage forever and ever of Amory Wars.
Dang.
All right.
Yeah, there's like, how many more books of this?
There are 2 more for the rest of the main series. Good Apollo and Burning Star Volumes 1 and 2, and then Year of the Black Rainbow. I think that's all that's been written now. There's no side story. There's no graphic novel for Afterman yet.
Shit's
I don't know
dense.
if there's one for... Actually, I don't know if there's one for Black Rainbow. There might be. I can't remember. So, yeah. This is like half of it, what's been published so far.
Okay.
Wow. All right. Well, I'll get the ball rolling. I like this. This was fun. This story is ass, and I have no qualms about saying that the story is bad.
Yeah.
But the concept of a lead singer writing a graphic novel and being like, man, I really like my own shit. What if I wrote a band about it? Rad. Yeah. I'm so in.
It's fun and weird.
Yeah. I said it off air that like I am a sucker for a like multi-connected universe or a multimedia project sort of thing. And that's what part of the reason I like FNAF so much is that they're games and movies and books and all sorts of shit. And I like things that tie in with other things, even if the story is bad. I'm probably going to listen to more Coheed now. I'm never going to read these, ever. No. There you go.
No. I have the 3 books if you ever want to borrow them.
I won't.
Yeah, this was, like Matt said, story, throw it in the trash. But, like, some of the concepts in here, the imagery, the cool, big, like, anime moments, absolutely rock. But, like, the whole like connective tissue tying it all together didn't need that. Like I appreciate that they like did it and made it like became this world famous prog rock band off the back of this comic, but it doesn't make it a good comic.
No, it's not.
Kyle and Matt already hit the highs and the lows. I have nothing further to add.
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys had as much fun listening to this as honestly as I did putting it together, because this was a fucking blast. Thank you so much to Matt S. for listening, supporting us, and commissioning this episode. Also, hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully you feel like you don't have to ever read the Amory Wars, because may I remind you, not great. One more time, too, I really want to shout out this podcast, The Amory Score by Abnormal Mapping. Again, like, had I not found this, I would not have gotten nearly enough of the context or a lot of the images that I found either. Check them out on iTunes or on their website at, get ready for this, ineedmayo.com.
Oh, perfect.
Mm-hmm. I hate that the most.
It's really good.
I'm
really good.
glad for them that they got that.
Yeah.
Domain. Like,
that was
it's
a
really
get.
good.
That was a get.
It was a get. They started this project back in 2017. And I think they're still going.
Dang.
Wow.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening in to Debate This. You at home can follow along with the arguments on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at DebateThisCast, or on our website at debatethiscast.com. And just a quick reminder, we are pausing our flavor text commissions just for a couple months, just because people have been so awesome, and we are unfortunately backlogged through the end of February of next year. However, we will be starting them up again later in the year, probably after Halloween. So keep thinking. If you're interested in commissioning, feel free to hit us up on Twitter, or if you're a Patreon, hit us a Patreon message and just say like, hey, is this something you'd be willing to do? Blah, blah, blah. Answer is we're going to do it. So yeah, let's keep talking. But think about, if you're what you want to commission, and then we can start figuring stuff out later in the year. Once again, that is a one-time $50 ask. If that's too big a commitment, or you're not interested in doing that, that's totally fine. Consider instead kicking us $5, and you can get access to our premium feed, through which you'll be able to listen and download all current and past episodes of The Office Drones, which is our D&D Real Play podcast. But wait, it's not just a D&D Real Play podcast. Stay right there. There's some special things. This is a D&D Real Play podcast where all of our characters are actual office workers who have been transported in a fantastical, magical, fantasy setting. And it's super weird, and it's super hilarious, and we're very, very excited of the progress that we made. We actually, at the time of this recording, will have just released our latest album, which features Eric Silver, who you may remember as a guest who we had on a couple months ago, and also is the head of the GM for Join the Party, which is an actual D&D Real Play podcast. So
our latest album, Andrew?
Yeah.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, it is.
You said album.
Oh my God, I'm so tired. Until next time, I'm Andrew Henderson.
I'm Kyle. I need mayo is what I yell every night at dinner time. Harper.
I'm Todd. Call of Shabuti, modern prog rock. Thomas.
And I'm Matt. Roses are red. This flavor text brought sadness. Good Apollo. I'm Burning Star 4 Volume 1. From Fear Through the Eye of Madness.
Go find us by the swing sets. I'm Burning Star 4.